getting a lot of input from turners about what we're doing, we being Worldwide Wood Turners. I just sent to Dane just a few minutes ago. Completely lost track of time. I've been working on my computer for the last 6 or 7 hours straight today, trying to get a few kinks out and get some programs going. And I'm working on promos for us. And
Killing it.
got it. Okay. Last week or so, I said, "Hey guys," and this goes for everybody in the club. If you're working on something special, I would like to see a photograph of you and it. Now, it doesn't have to be. I don't know how to not to offend anybody. It doesn't have to be remarkable work. I want to see you and your work. I want to see what you do. Show me your shop. Show me what you're working on. Those are tidbits that people want to see. And I'd like to work on putting that out there to show folks what you have in your shop and what they see and what we do here. Um, the basis of this club is we're unlike any other. We're a bunch of friends that get together and we talk wood turning. We don't sell tools or wood or equipment or clubs or memberships or dues or magazines or any other damn stuff. We really don't. We sit down and we talk wood turning. And if we can share something about it, why can't we just get together and share it? So put it to me, send it to me by email or whatever, uh, and I'll use it. We'll use it in the promos. And I put those promos, I just did one about our newsletter because I'm so damn proud of the newsletter we produce. We do. I have
Oh,
very little to do with that. And it's hard for me to tell somebody that, this is something that came up within our membership. It wasn't a wish, it wasn't a dream. I tried to do some stuff and mentally I lost the ability to do such that item. So I couldn't. But it didn't die. JJ picked up the stone. He said, "Hey, wait, look, can I take this? Can I run with it?" And I mean, this guy hadn't stopped. He's past the end zone and running down a block. You'll need to get him back. He produces a newsletter unlike any other club's newsletter in the entire world. I'll let you take me to task on that. Go ahead, bring it on, because I'm telling you what I'm looking at. I don't know what you see, but I look at quality work every other week. Quality artwork, articles, details, facts, figures, everything. No advertisement. You can't buy an inch in that newsletter. You earn it. You earn it by sending your work to us. And I'm just I did a little promo because, folks, this is something that nobody else has. I asked somebody the other day, "Can you send me a copy of your club's newsletter?" And he said, "I'll be banned from my club if I do that. Because if you don't pay your dues, you can't share the newsletter." I've never heard of such a thing. Well, I did. It was a really bad first aid thing I had. I mean, first grade thing I had a long time ago. But if we're not like that. We share everything. So if you got something coming in, you want to share it, you want to show us a gig, a jig, a rig, whatever, I want to know about it. Now, we're talking right now. In Dane's shop, he's got a piece sitting on his lathe back there on his Powermatic, and it's a beautiful piece. That is article worthy. What is it? How's he holding it? What's he turning it? I know he's putting that miracle uh, soup on the outside of it, that Miracle Glow. If they sell it at the car place, called Miracle Glow for Woods. I've seen it. Uh, and he puts it on it and it comes out looking like a shining diamond. But that's the kind of stuff I want to see. And I think you want to know about it too. Because when we stop and we talk about a piece, a guy brings up, "What's that finish? How do you get that? How you do that? How you we And you know what? That's in the newsletter. And if it's in the newsletter, it's on the website. If it's on the website and the newsletter, it's in the meetings. So where else in this world can you find all of that under one banner? I mean, look at the webmaster we have. I want to shake his hand right now. Dave Rose does a magnificent job. Can you find a better website dealing with earning that's absolutely free? That's not bought and paid for? No, nobody owns our website. Quality stands strong. And every time we put something in it, it's bona fide right because it's checked. And there's no secrets here, none at all. I love it. And when somebody asked me a question about something, I said, "Did you check our website?" Well, I mean, no, don't hem and haw. Just go to the website. Don't say, "Well, I didn't get around." It's easier than picking up the phone, folks. It's like having the encyclopedia right in front of you on your laptop all day long. It's so easy to find. It's unbelievable. And this whole thing happened because really I just wanted you guys to get together and talk wood turning. You make my week. So I am now looking for photographs of our demonstrators, guys. The ones I've seen in a band in a gang tonight. I've sent you emails. I've sent you notices. I've sent you memos, reminders. Here it is. We need to get some more information out about our demonstrators, and to do that, I working on my little end over here. I'd like to get your photographs and a little more about you. JJ does things, Scott does things, Billy does things, and all. Kind of throw me in that mix a little bit. Let's get in there because we have so much, and there's so much going on that I don't want anything to get slipped by the wayside. I don't want you to miss anything. And Level Up is not that far away. I mean, I got my bags packed over here right now. And so if we got something like that coming up, let's talk about it. And oh yeah, I said that somebody else that if you have an event, pardon me, dealing with turning, he can go to the events page, and the guy said, "How do I pay for that?" You send it to us. How simple is that? There's no other hooplas, no bandwagon, no talk to the agent. You send the information to Dave Rhodes, webmaster at worldwidewoodturners.org, and boom, you did it. Now, that is a whole lot easier than getting it advertised anywhere else in this world. I guarantee you that. You're just trying to get a hold of somebody else to say, "Can you run me a little ad about what I'm going to do this week, this little program I got coming up?" Yeah, well, what you got to do is no. What you got to do here is send us the information. And if we made it any simpler, we'd have to come over to the house and look in your stuff ourselves.
Sure
So
would.
yeah. So that's what we cut it dry, we make it simple, we have fun with it. And above all else, we're real. I mean, so damn right real, it's unbelievable. And it makes me proud that you folks pull this off every single week. I'm amazed, always amazed by what I see. And Facebook stuff comes up really good too. I like it. Congratulations to your daughter, Dane. Um,
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, really, for sure.
She's killing it. And it was a birthday present for her because today's her birthday, so
Oh,
it
how
was a
nice.
very welcome news. Yeah,
Isn't it good when you see your kids and their kids pop up and shine like diamonds? It's really it
sure
kind of
is.
puts a little glow in your heart, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. Me and Tina's been on cloud 9 about it.
Yeah. I know I call one of my daughters uh the young Linzette. I ask her how my champs are making out because her two daughters are my volleyball champs. And every week they have another ribbon or another medal or another trophy. Um, and it warms my heart to know that she's raising her children so right. And she's doing so good that, this is the excellence that's coming out of this. And somebody said, well, it's just sports. No, it's not. Her
No,
youngest is 14 years old. She could manage any corporation I develop. I could put her in charge of it because right now that girl knows the ups, the downs, the ins and the outs. and she knows it makes it work. And because she got that from her mama. We got a lot going on tonight. Got a good demo coming up, Dane?
Yes, we do. We have one of our normal superstars on board for later this evening. So he's got a real nice demo planned out for us. We'll get involved with that here in about an hour and 10 minutes. Sue won't be joining us at the moment. She's feeling under the weather. She said she was going to try and pop on later on if she felt any better, but she got an upset belly. So, and then with that, I talked with Donald Masterson from the land down under down in Australia. His kidneys have finally given out on him, and he's now on dialysis full time, and so that's the reason why he can't attend on Wednesday nights, because that's when his dialysis session is taking place. But he wanted me to relay to the group that he's watching the videos on replay, and he's enjoying everything that we're doing, and everybody to keep up the good work that we're doing. So.
Yeah, I know when I tell you it's time to go plug in, you stop everything and go plug in.
Yeah, for sure.
You got it always said, save the chat.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's just say
always said save the chat.
Save the chat.
Save the chat for Donald.
I've wondered the past year. I haven't seen him. Well, I hope you feel better if you're watching.
Well, he might
Hope
catch
you
us
will
on. He can always get us
Yeah.
on a pickup. That's the good thing about what we do.
I hope you feel better.
It's always there on the pickup, folks. No secrets in this group, none at all. And it's next week we have another edition of the newsletter coming out, and the editor's in with us right now. And JJ, you got any updates on us for tonight?
I need more pictures.
Listen, it's like a never-ending record with this guy. Come on.
Yeah, I got one thing to say. I need more pictures.
How are we doing on articles? We got any? Are we still getting how-tos? I know we've been missing now and then. The evolution of our turning experience. This is where we started at on a particular type of turning. And now this is what we're doing since we've advanced our skills. We're still getting articles in like that. I know it's been thin the past few issues.
No, I do have part 4, which is the second to last part of the laser engraving saga. But other than that, I don't have any articles so far. The deadline, of course, is Friday, so there's plenty of time. But at the moment, no, I don't have any.
Who's the author for that laser engraving?
Todd Fitz.
Okay. Cool.
And his little bot.
If you miss this deadline, you make the next one.
Yeah. But yeah, I do have 2 Level Up presenters featurettes, I guess if you want to call it, so far. So we'll have one in this issue and one in the next issue on the back page.
Okay, I've just sent pictures of both my work and of me for whoever was requesting pictures for the Level Up. But do I need to send them to you as well, Joaquin?
Yes.
Yes,
I'll
but I
take care of
think
it.
Billy forwarded yours to me. Hang on. Let me check the folder.
Okay. Well, I just sent the pictures like just now, so.
Oh, okay. Then I haven't had them yet. But please send them to me too. Because I actually
Okay.
have a folder just for Level Up coaches. I've got Jeff Walters. I've got Safety Sue. I've got, I've got pictures as requested. I need to figure out who sent me that and change the name of the file.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can send that to me as well, then that goes in a separate folder. That way I can go back and reference that at any time.
Matt,
Okay,
if you
that's
sent those to me, I didn't get them. I mean, if you sent those to me, I didn't get them.
was I
Not
supposed
yet.
to send them to you, Billy? Because I sent them to Level Up at worldwidewoodturners.org and to Eddie. So
Okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
they didn't come in to Level Up.
well, what's up with that?
I don't know.
So I just emailed them to JJ also. So let me see if I got a bounce.
Hang
Nope,
on,
no bounces.
let me sync and see if it loads. That
Yeah,
whatever happened to our email server a couple weeks ago, it was really weird. Dave fixed it, but I'm not 100% sure that things
Oh,
are
oh, you just sent them, Matt. 355. I see them now.
back full.
Okay.
So I haven't seen it yet, Matt, but I'll let you know
All
if
right,
I
so-
don't see it. It
I
just,
got a
it-
Gmail address for you too, Billy. So I'm going to send everything there.
Okay.
Forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might take it an hour to trickle through, depending on how many photos are in
All right. Well, they're on the way, and if you don't have them by the morning, let me know.
there. I will. I'll message you.
Okay.
When
I
all else
just got
fails,
them,
we can
Matt.
send it through my Gmail.
We're going to be
'Cause
having a
Gmail doesn't
meeting
care.
real soon on all that to get that those three parties lined out real soon here, and we'll report back for those that need to send photos and bios and workups and whatnot, and those that we've already got on hand. So, right, Billy?
10-4.
Matter of
Mr. Burt,
business,
thanks for hanging out with me this afternoon.
which one of our gang here, referred to them as a gang, posts things on our our YouTube channel? Who does the channel? You,
That's
Dave?
Mr. Rhodes. It's Dave.
Mr. Rhodes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do the posting for that.
All right, thank you, Dave.
I hope Cade comes in tonight. I got to pick his brain some more about tippy tops.
Well,
You-
Ruby knows a lot about them too. So if Ruby's in, we can ask
okay.
her.
See, Ruby. I've had 4 failures today. I got frustrated, so I made a box. They're cute tops,
Ducks-
but they won't flip over.
Remember, Mr. Duxbury is in. He knows how to do them
Okay.
really well.
You know what? I'll just go to Jim's house and have him teach me right
You got it.
one-on-one.
I'm doing an article. It's coming up in Wood Turning Magazine. Oh, in issue 409.
On tippy tops?
Yeah.
Nice. I had some small 1.5 inch oak, and it was too small for a regular top. And I was like, well, let's try a tippy top. And that just led me down a rabbit hole this afternoon.
It's amazing. That thing's got to be just right.
Yeah.
I mean, I finally figured it out, but yeah, it's got to be. You want to see one? I got one somewhere.
Sure.
Yeah.
You want me to-
Please.
Rita hides them. Let me look around.
I was
hate
going
it
to
when
show
that
a
happens.
tippy top in gallery tonight that I got lucky and it works.
After you said that yesterday, I made one, but it only goes 3/4 of the way.
Yeah, this one.
I can't get it to flip.
They're very hard. I haven't had any luck with them at all. And I've tried probably 5-6 times, and then I could just go back to making the regular tops because I think, oh geez, I'm never going to get this. They're tricky.
Yeah, I made 4 failures. They're great little tops, but they won't flip. And I was like, I got to do something successful, or I'm gonna have a meltdown. So I made a lidded box.
Oh, this one doesn't flip. This one catches. Is that what you wanted?
Catches.
It catches on the side. Wait, let me.
Oh, it's one of those. What do they call those, Jim?
It's got a German name.
Yeah.
A dreidel or something like that.
No,
No. Tiefel
Oh, that's it.
Let me see.
something.
See if you can see it. Can you see it?
Yeah, these are
Oh,
great.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a great top too.
Can you see it?
Yes.
That's awesome.
So I got to stand over it because you can't. Huh. Take a liar out of me.
Get your drill out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I say. Get your drill out.
That's great.
Yeah,
Very
That's-
nice, Jim.
that's
Very nice.
sweet, Jim. Wow.
You have to stand on top of it. It's gotta be straight up and down. I'll probably get my drill in 2 minutes. Anyway, it does work.
Well, at least it doesn't go scooting off the desk.
There it
and have
There
a-
you go. There you
There
go.
it goes.
You fool.
See, Rita had to threaten it.
Yeah.
He walked up and worked.
Anyway,
So tell me something else, Jim. Those bottle stoppers, there's 3 of them in the little holder there behind things.
oh, you're looking
Are
at,
Are they actually levers? Oh no. Okay. So I was hoping that they were levers for something, but
no. This is 3, where am I?
There you go.
That's 3 lobes,
yep.
all centered. This is 3 lobes. At
120 degrees
120
Shifted.
degrees. Yeah, 120 degrees.
Yeah,
or
nice.
60 or whatever it is.
No,
Yeah,
this is 60 degrees. Yeah, 60 degrees.
gotcha. And there's 3 of them. Okay.
And this is
Cool.
3 of them at 40 degrees.
Nice.
Really
Or
nice.
can you spin them?
What?
Don't give him ideas.
This wasn't a mistake. I did this on purpose.
Be a
Anyway.
drive shaft for a Wankel engine.
Yeah. I can make one of those.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Very nice. We ready to start the meeting, Dane?
Yeah.
Whatever your name
I don't
is.
see- I don't see why not. Eddie, did you want to talk about some things at the beginning of the meeting here? Or you want to just jump right in the gallery?
I like to, well, before we jump in the gallery, folks, remember Level Up is 16 months away. We're rocking and rolling for it. We got a lot going on and we only want input. That's it. So with that, I want to see, I love that little top that was going on just now. I just wish we get somebody over to Jim's house so they could spin it. Well, we'll get back to that. We'll get back to that. Fine.
So with that, Matt, let's go ahead and pick up. Let's go ahead and kick off program here with some gallery, and we got an advert we'll play a little later on here before our demo.
All right. What you got, Dewey?
Oh, I want to share my screen because this camera doesn't. It's not the best. So let's see. This might run. Oh, whoop! What did I do?
Added a sticky note there.
Stop. I don't have anything.
It's like you got a whiteboard going.
This is
Instead of the
Captain
ship.
Eddie, though.
Instead of the share screen.
There we go.
Try it again. Try it again.
Okay. Video. Where's that button that says share my screen at anyway? Oh, there it is. I found it. Oh, okay. Let's see. Where's it? Whoa. There we go. Heck, it went away. Hold on a sec. There we go. Well, I'm having a little technical problems. Why don't you go ahead and I'll
All right. We'll do that. Let us know when you're all ready.
Okay.
Dale, you're up next.
Okay. Here's a hollow form that I did today. Started it yesterday,
What's the bottom?
and it's a purplish in color. You can't really tell it on the screen that well. I combined 2 rich colors to make purple. It's maple, and you can see where the bugs have been at it. It was
Yep.
really punky wood, and I put it between centers like this. Before I did that, the two ends I had to seal it pretty good because it was so punky with some Parfex. And it is finished with Parfex 3460.
Okay.
Pretty.
And then I've got another little hollow form here, same color pretty much, sealed with 3460. I haven't got a finial for it yet. Main reason I'm showing it, can you tell that it was a funnel?
Oh,
Yes. Nice cover, nice recovery though.
Just call that a bug hole.
Yeah, when the drill bit, when I drilled it, I had put it on with a tenon, but the drill bit that I drilled it out with went into my tenon, and I didn't realize it when I took my tenon
Uh-huh.
off. Until I
That's
took
all right.
the tenon off, and I saw I had a little hole there. So I drilled the hole out a little bit more and used the dowel to fill it.
Well, things happen.
Yep.
they do.
And that's the main reason why I'm showing this one tonight, is I wanted to show people you can fix it.
Yeah.
But
Very
when it's
cool.
a small one, that's a 1/4-inch dowel in there. So if anybody's
Yeah.
ever had a small hole and wondered how to fix it, and of course, even bigger holes, you can use a dowel.
All right, cool.
And that's all I got tonight.
Thanks, Daryl.
Thanks, Dale.
Nice.
Thanks, Dale.
You're welcome.
Dewey says he has stuff fixed, so let's see if he does.
Well, let's see if he does. Yeah.
There we
Oh,
go.
wow.
Yes. My
Yeah.
goodness.
Whoa.
Gosh.
That is beautiful.
Whoa.
Very nice, Dewey.
That's the that was that thing I showed last week that had all the spots.
Uh-huh.
So I got the handles on it, and I did got some patina on it, and I think it turned out pretty nice.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
think it did
God.
too.
Yeah,
My lands.
Wow.
looks like metal for sure. But I guess like a copper.
Yeah, well, I sprayed it with copper, with suspended copper and acrylic, and then come back with the oxidizing solution.
With iron, copper turns that blue, just like that.
Yeah, yeah. But this
Very cool. That's a great effect.
That's
Looks great.
beautiful. Right,
This-
it is.
this is just embellishment wax here. All this,
Yeah, the blue.
yeah.
Very
But
nice.
this is patina here, so
Wow.
it's
You do
first.
really nice work, Louis. Really
First-
beautiful.
I think
Wow.
the first time I go to try patina, here's kind of green right there, So but
Yeah.
anyway,
Yep. Some of the patina solutions, depending on which acid you use, some of them will turn it blue, and some of them will turn it green. So very nice.
I use the blue acid solution. Anyway, that's
Huh.
what it's bottle blue.
Wow.
Very
Anyway.
cool.
Wow.
That's real cool.
Great.
So Dewey, on the carving that you did, and then you put the blue in there, or the green, whatever, it looks blue to me. So when you got that inside, then you just buffed it down and it went away and just stayed in there because it's so pretty and so perfect.
Well, what I did was I smeared it on there, and I really worked it to get it into the grooves. This is all laser engraved here. This is hand. And then once I got it, I take a wet paper towel and you just wipe it off.
Oh, okay.
Wipe it off, and then eventually you'll get it to where you take a dry. Once you get most of it off, you take a dry paper towel and wipe it off, and it'll stay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
how'd you get
I'm going to
how'd
start
you get
with
the-
wet and move to dry. Wet to dry. Okay. Wow.
How'd you get the designs in there, Dewey?
Well, this was, up here, I took some, I used some 3M 2080 masking tape. And then I just used a laser, and I made templates. I just cut the designs out, and then I put the tape on here, and then I just followed the templates with with a dental tool. This here was just laser engraved. I built a little cradle to put it in, and then engraved it here and on the other side too. Was all
Very cool.
Did you make your handles from one piece and then cut it in half?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Now I don't know what this means. I don't know what this means, but I thought it would look cool, so I'll put it on there.
Dude, don't take it to that place. You only got $300.
Yeah, no,
Don't take it there.
So anyway, but there, I'm gonna stop sharing. But no, here it is. This makes it look more bluer than it actually is, but I engraved that. But
yeah.
Nice. That's
yeah,
great.
Yeah, it looks great.
I like that a lot. Very
Yeah.
nice.
For
Yeah,
sure.
Put a coating over
top of it?
huh?
Put a coating on top of it. Once you smear the blue on, do you coat anything on top of that?
Yeah, it's got lacquer. This is lacquer
Okay.
on. I'll put a matte finish on it. Some matte. And I didn't like it. I like it to have a little bit of a shine to it. So I'll put a couple of coats of lacquer on it. And but believe it or not, in real life, this is green. On my camera, it shows it as blue, but it's green. And this is all turquoise, all of it. So that camera didn't really show the true color. So that's the reason I went with the video to show the true color.
Very cool, Dewey. Very
That's
cool.
real cool. No. What would you call that? What would you call that? It's not an urn. It's not a vase. It's
a jug.
It's a jug.
It's a vessel. It's a vessel. You can charge $200 more if it's a vessel.
I call it a wine jug.
There you go. That's so cool.
It's a
Really
gin.
pretty.
It's a gin
Really
canteen. A gin canteen.
Yeah. So, but I'm gonna do some more painting stuff. I kind of like it. I think it looks real nice. I'm gonna do something really.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah,
What's the wood underneath? What's the wood underneath?
Yeah. So anyway,
Spalted beech,
no, hard maple.
hard maple. Gotcha. Okay.
Yep, spalted hard maple. So,
All right. Thank you, Dewey.
Yeah, really pretty.
Thank you. Oh, wow.
Next up is Charlie. What you got, Charlie?
I showed this one about 2 years ago, and it was proof that wood moves constantly. Because this spring, you could lay it upside down, right side, and rock it. So I put it back on the lathe, and it's about a 1/2 inch across, smaller, and not quite as thick.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I've been getting ready for Easter. Oh, I can't move it enough. I've made a whole bunch of crosses.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Bolted silver maple.
No.
It's a pretty wood. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're pretty.
And that one's out of birch. Then I also, I'm going to shut up, made Easter eggs.
Oh my goodness, you did.
Attaboy. That one's scrambled.
Yeah. That, I was told that was hackberry by the campground that we were at. But according to somebody, hackberry doesn't get dark brown.
They're pretty.
That's just plain 2x4. I'll just show the prettier ones. This is my favorite. That's
That looks
apple.
good.
It's olive? Is that what you said?
Apple.
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 Thank you.
Pretty.
I love working
Apple,
with
Very
apple.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
apple's
that's-
pretty too. Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
What about the
Very
bowl?
nice, Charlie. Thank you, Charlie.
Yep.
Next up is you, Al.
Oh boy, let's see if I can grab it all here.
Wasn't gonna show all the time.
I've been making tops. Here's a handful of tops. I've been making whistles. Here's a handful. There's another handful over there.
They don't work.
Oh, yeah, it'll work. I'm gonna make. There'll be 10 altogether. And after at Doug's live yesterday, I did hear Tim say about tippy top. Like I said, I tried making one. It goes 3/4 of the way. I'll work on it. You know, well, which way? Over this way. But
There you go.
I'll work on it.
So how do you change that, Al? Will you have to make it hollower or make it deeper in the hollowing?
I think that I just need to make it rounder, so I'm going to probably do that. I have the directions. When Dane did this, I wrote everything down, and I have it here. I was looking for it a little bit ago, but I have 3 or 4 tablets to go through. I think it's just on me not getting this correct.
Is it supposed to be completely spherical?
Jim, what's the answer? Because that's what I like to know.
Yeah, it's supposed to be spherical.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
And the weight, have the weight lower.
Is the stem too long? The stem might be too long.
No, that's another part of the question. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the stem's too long.
It goes, like I said, I could get it about 3/4. That's about it. And I
I'm gonna have
don't
to.
make just regular bowls. It was
Looks. What kind of wood?
and when I first started, I thought it was just Bradford pear, but I think it's a locust. If you see this right here, you don't get that in Bradford pear. Or at least I haven't. No, this right here.
Yeah.
Oh, and I got another fantastic. Now this idea, this is as good as sliced bread. Now here's my lathe. Now I have a long time ago when I had my other lathe, I had sandbags, and I did it just like you see here on the bottom of it to give it more weight. It was one of the small Grizzlies. And I can never get back over here where I can get back here to clean, but it's, as you can see, it's a pain in the butt. I have all these here exhaust hoses and stuff. But on Doug's, here's a garbage bag. And on Doug's live yesterday, look how nice and easy I can clean up now. I saved that to show this. But I thought it was such a great idea. There was a fellow that came on, in the live chat, and I think he made a joke that you're here and whoever's there, but somebody made a joke about teaching the ribbons to jump into a garbage bag, and then I think Ruby came on and says, "Yeah, I used to do that." I said, "Well, look, I have the perfect spot, and it works great." So it's a good idea. I just wanted to share it. If somebody else could do it, I think it's a great idea. It holds up a little bit of cleaning, a lot of cleaning.
Yeah.
So
Very cool. Good idea. Thanks, Al.
You guys, everybody have a good night. Everybody be good. Got it?
Leaf blower works better.
just open up the garage door and blow it out.
Not when it's 30 outside, no. But I thought it was pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, right. Yeah, Pete, we'd lose tools if they go back there.
I could see that happening. It hasn't happened yet. I used it most of yesterday afternoon and all day today. But yeah, it could probably happen. Well, I'd have to reach down
Doesn't
and
it?
get it.
I guess a
You're
good
not
practice is
supposed-
not to set your tools on the lathe
Yeah,
bed, right?
if you don't
Yeah,
put
right.
tools on your lathe bed, there's no issue.
Right.
That's a horrible. That's a horrible habit to get into. I don't know
Mhm.
why
I put
anyone
my
would do that.
shaving-
Yeah,
I put
I've
my
never done
shaving-
that.
Me either.
Okay, thanks,
Yeah, I
Al.
thought it was
Joaquin,
good.
you're up next.
Okay, well, last Tuesday I got to watch Bob Birdhouse Bob's platter demonstration, and I had this piece of big leaf maple burl that I really didn't know what I was going to do with until I saw Bob's demonstration.
It's a beautiful
So
piece.
here is my big leaf maple burl platter.
Nice.
Oh,
Nice.
I like that.
That's
in the
beautiful.
bottom. And the burl just speaks for itself. And I found what caused the disease. See this hole here? There was a nail in there that came through right here.
Hmm.
And all of the burl is on this side of where that inclusion was that the nail had. I mean, it was buried. You couldn't
Huh.
tell when I started turning that there was a nail in there. So we figured out what killed the tree and made the burl.
Wow.
So that was my platter. And then I made a 24.5-inch long spoon.
There you go.
Why don't you need a 24.5-inch long spoon?
I want one too now. I want one too.
It's
Yeah,
for
I
really
wouldn't
big
mind having
soup.
one myself.
It's for really big soup. And then I was trying tippy tops and had a rough day today, 4 failures, and I wanted to do something to redeem myself. So I grabbed a chunk of cherry burl and
Nice.
I made
Yeah,
this
that's
little lidded box. And it's a nice pop
There it
lid.
is.
That's pretty.
And
Yep.
there's
Yeah.
a little
Wow.
sawdust. I did a little texture and embellishing wax in there.
What's the wood on the lid, Joaquin?
That's African blackwood.
It is blackwood. Okay, good.
Yeah, it's the remainder of it's the very last of my last clarinet bell.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I still have
That's,
a.
I got that. I'm not sure how I got it to stick together because that's an 1/8 of an inch thick, but it's in one piece. And there
I
was
see you haven't boxed that up to send to me yet.
no, Billy. I know you need to put it in the burn pile. I know. Billy was with me live on TikTok today while I turned that.
Wow. Billy was the winner. Did you do a drawing? Is
No.
that how you got it, Billy?
He said it was terrible and it needed to be destroyed. So
No, I told him it was hideous and he needed to send it to me so I could dispose of it properly.
There you go.
Attaboy.
There you go.
That a boy.
Yeah.
I've got other stuff, but that's it. This is my favorite just because why not?
Why not? I
Yeah,
know.
right.
Yeah,
I want one too. Maybe
I
tomorrow.
do too.
Looks like a
grateful
good
my
ice
mother
cream scoop
didn't
to
have
me.
one that
There you
size.
go. Ice cream. I just offered it to my mastiff to feed her dinner.
Yeah.
If
What would
hey,
what would you
JJ,
do?
if the
This
handle
is,
was long
hard-
enough,
this
that
is
would
all
be a
hard
good
maple. It's all
lard ladle.
sugar maple.
That would be a
You're ready
good
to boil
lard ladle
laundry
if
now.
the handle was longer.
If it was what?
If the handle was longer, it would be a good lard ladle when you're rendering
yeah.
lard.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also,
he just has to turn himself a cauldron.
actually, there is a practical version of this, and I thought about it while I was turning it, but back in the day, older Catholic churches, they would pass the offering plate, but a deacon would hold on to it, so they made really long
ah,
bowls with really long handles to get the offering plate
Yeah,
down the
yeah.
aisle and back.
yeah.
Yes. Yep.
That's it.
Cool.
Okay.
Well done.
Thank you very much,
Good job.
Joaquin. Next up is Todd. What you got, Todd?
Well, I'm going to try to show you a tippy top. I apologize for all of that, but to show you the tippy top, I needed something flat to spin it on, and so I grabbed this little
Maple.
plate figured maple and off my shelf, and I turned it in 2015, so it's been sitting there for a long time. But here's the little tippy top that I made about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and it seemed like the the important thing was how the curve came around and and then met up with the stem. And
Right.
mine would not flip upright until I put just the slightest chamfer on the end of that and got the length of it correct. But it's gone. Oh goodness. But
Is it back?
it's well, you know,
It was.
I have to spin it pretty good to get it to flip. And there it is. It's right side up spinning now.
There
Whoops.
you go. There
It
you
was. So it works, but I figured, man, I got that one working. I'm done with tippy tops. So so no more tippy tops. But I have been wanting to practice with my spindle gouges and stuff. And so I made this little top here out of some walnut. And so, you know, it spins nice.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I want to make one messing with the bottom of it a little bit, and then some coloring on it for a top. And so I made that one. And this was a piece of maple. It was like 2 inches by 2 inches by maybe like 4 inches, and there was about an inch and a quarter left of maple. So I made a little base for it from that it'll spin on. You know, it's small base because I didn't have a lot of wood, but it'll spin on there, and when it's finished, it'll sit on there like, you know, 9 out of 10 times maybe. It'll sit there, and just had to mess with it just a little bit. See, that time it didn't, but if it falls off and the edge gets under the lip, it'll sit on there just fine. But that. And then there's this bowl. I made this bowl last week, and this bowl was an experimental bowl where I and here's the outside of it the way it sits now.
Nice finish.
Yeah.
But this bead here that's blue, this thing started out and it was curved over more, and that was a little proud. That bead was proud, and I put sizing on there and a metallic mica and whatever on there to give it a metallic look in that band, and it wouldn't dry all the way. I think maybe I didn't let the sizing sit long enough before I applied the mica powder to it or something, but it wouldn't dry. It just, and so I tried to spray some lacquer over the top of it, and that didn't help. And so then I scraped that off of there and textured this, and then I didn't like the texture of it, so I cut that off, and then finally just dyed it blue, and then put a couple of beads on it using the good Easy Wood tools. That's the 3/16 inch bead. But and I know Ruby doesn't like this also, but those beads on that beading tool, the edges of them go way down in there, and so that's really deep. And so I didn't want to make the bowl too thin, and so the bowl might be just a tad thicker than what I would have liked. To make sure I didn't, just cut those beads right off my bowl, and give it a little strength. But there's the bowl that I did last week, and that's the green is chestnut stains, and the blue is Hampshire Sheen intrinsic. But
they're both
and
good
then
colors.
Yeah.
Underneath it, I tried to take black, blue, black to to go with the design on the outside, but my blue embellishing wax isn't really as dark as I wished it would have been. But on the bottom there, I put a little texture in it.
Very cool.
Call it a day.
That's a pretty piece.
That is a
thank you.
beautiful piece, Todd. Good job.
Well done, Todd.
Nice, Todd.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right. Well, next up is Billy. What you got, Billy?
A couple of weeks ago, I picked up, I was at an estate sale from another woodworker, and I picked up this piece of mesquite that had what I think is a piece of maple arch running through it. And it was small, only about 5/8 of an inch thick. And I thought, well, let's make a platter out of it, and let's take it one step further And this is one of the things that I'm going to be demonstrating or teaching at Level Up.
Oh, yay.
Nice.
Taking an image like these butterflies and creating an array in Lightburn and then burning that on the laser. And yes, the burning was after the turning. It was completely finished when I put this on the laser. I got really lucky.
You centered
Well,
that up nice.
Yeah,
Yes, you
I
did.
got really
Yeah, I
lucky
know how
with
hard
the,
that
with
is.
the centering. I was hopeful it would be all right, but
You
so
must have,
that's
you must
and
have
it's
done
just finished with a couple of coats of Hampshire sheen is all.
Looks nice. Looks
Yeah.
great.
So
Yep,
this is
peacefully.
you make a circle. Actually, the circle was the outside, and it was that made it into a tool path. But you just choose the circle and your image, one copy of it, and then tell it to make an array, and then you just have to tell it how many that you want. In this case, it's 10.
You must have done a
Yes.
lot of framing on that to make sure it was just right.
I framed it probably a dozen times, Dewey. I'd move it and frame it and move it and frame it. One of the cool things is a lot of times when you hit frame, it just does a square. It shows you the basic outside, but there's another frame you can frame a circle. And so you can frame it round. And when I got the blue beam running all the way around the edge, I knew I was pretty close. So
So you use a laser on that?
yes,
You didn't do it freehand?
no.
So, Billy, there's a tool in the toolbar that allows you to position the laser also, so you can pick a specific point and position it. So if like you knew exactly where the center was and the center in your bowl, you could position the laser right to the center, and then be able to move to that too.
I did that first.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I did was I made sure this was centered in the window or on the grid. I made sure the design was centered on the grid, and then I sent the laser to graphic center, and then I measured this way to the laser. I used my Ortur, and the nice thing about the Ortur, even though it's a 10-watt laser, is the shield is pretty much square all the way around the middle, or the laser's right in the middle of the square orange shield. So I just measured from here to the shield on 3 sides, and when they were all even, I knew I had to be pretty much close to center. And so when I framed it, I didn't have too much adjusting to do.
Now, you can, instead of moving your piece, you can move the image, little dabs in and that.
And that's what I do. Yeah.
You can, and I've not had real good luck with that.
I haven't either.
I use laser Gerbil, but they've got a lot of the same functionality underneath because they're all eventually sending the Gerbil language to the printer or to the engraver. And there's a couple of user buttons that will let you do centering like that to move the laser to the center of the piece and to trace the circle around the outside edge. So you can set things up pretty good that way. So, yep, it's useful. Very nice job, Billy.
Thank you.
Very good. Nice.
Okay, next up is Doug. What you got, Doug?
Okay. All right. Couple of things going on. I wanted to try out some more of those colors I talked about last week. And so this week I did a little vase and used the yellow. That's just one coat of the yellow. Really comes out vibrant.
Which color is it again, Doug?
Yellow.
I know, but what's
Salisbury
manufacturer?
Crafts. Salisbury Crafts.
Thank you. Okay.
Out of Australia. Just great colors. He's calling them paints, even though they're thin. You can see the grain through it still.
Mhm.
So, but this one was kind of fun. It had that little knot hole up there at the top, and then if you look closely on the inside,
Got a
You
little
can-
thin.
Uh-huh.
You can see a little light transmission through there. That was a happy
Air.
accident. That was
You
a
could-
happy accident.
You can see the yellow.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
it's a feature. It's a feature, Doug. It's a feature.
That's it. That's it. And then I've had the lady that runs the shop that I've got my stuff in was talking about we were talking about large bowls and whatnot, and I started talking about I made this 12-inch salad bowl that I eat my dinner salads out of, and she started talking about her poor husband ends up having to eat out of a mixing bowl. So I said we can fix that, and so yesterday I
Oh,
fixed it.
pretty.
That's an 11-inch black walnut with a nice piece of feathering in there. See if I can get it. There we go. Get it in a different light so you can actually see the feathering.
Yeah, see
that
the
was
mop.
Looks good.
that was a limb inclusion. So it's virtually done. I want to put one more coat of wax on it, and then I'll take the tenon off. I was thinking about maybe incorporating the tenon into the foot, but I'm going to take it off and make just a very slight concave bottom on that. So it's virtually done. It'll take me another 15-20 minutes and it'll be done. So
Wow.
anyway, that's what I've done this week. I'm going to get started hopefully tomorrow on blank preparation. That's a lot of fun. Everybody enjoys blank preparation, but it's something that makes life a whole lot easier if you have all these blanks ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I do
Good
the
stuff.
same thing, Doug. Got to be
Yeah.
done.
Bowl.
Nice job on the bowl.
Thanks, guys.
Right, that's beautiful.
That'll make his salad taste better.
All right. And next up is Chris. What you got, Chris?
This is a ash bowl that we returned. Has a major bark inclusion on this side, so I played with some color to kind of accent that.
I like that color that you did on that. I really do.
Kind of hide and also hide some of the cracks that were in there from the ash. And I was going to go a little thinner, but if I did, it would be a hole.
Mm. Yeah.
Basically, what's that new super glue that you all have me try? Parfax, whatever it is.
Parfex.
That's
408.
three coats and then just buffed with axe. I have not done this part yet. That's next. And then we found a piece of cherry that has just that one bark inclusion there, but it has really nice grain, couple of cracks. This is if you don't have turquoise, if you go to like Michael's, you can buy turquoise colored sand. Mix that with epoxy, and then find your least expensive gouge and destroy that, turning it down. This is what you use the starter kits for, just to get it smooth. And then we haven't finished the inside yet. Have a little more cracks to fill in here. And Billy, if you're still listening, it's not too thick in that spot. Absolutely. But we'll finish
Yes,
that.
it is.
It's not. If you want to talk about being thick, it ain't this.
Yeah, I'm pretty thick.
So
I
that's all.
guess sand
That's
works,
pretty.
but I picked up some polyester stuff at SWAT that looks like marble once it sets up in epoxy,
Oh yeah.
and it's pretty soft.
What's,
So
what's-
use tools.
Mica coloring, or don't use sand. That's
I use
not
what
good
quartz.
on
It's-
your tool.
use
It's
what I
quartz.
have.
It's harder than our tools are.
Yes, it is. But I have a couple of tools that I've been saving just for the garbage can, so that's what I used on it.
Nice.
I use an
Wouldn't it be
angle
hard on
grinder
the
on
bearings?
quartz.
So was that?
Wouldn't it be hard on the bearings of the lathe? The
Nah.
sand dust?
Nah.
You're not
Nothing.
getting it into the bearings. It's
Those are sealed up pretty tight.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway,
Thanks,
good
Chris.
stuff. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
All right. Well, next up is Terry. What you got, Terry?
I got unmuted. Well, we had an interesting week. Last week was our club meeting, and Joaquin called me after he got out of the hospital. and asked me if I had any ideas, and I told him I'd look around. And I walked around his house to see what I could find, and I came up with this piece that I've done years ago. And I don't know what I used, some kind of a copper or gold paint. I don't know what that was. I made this thing probably 10, 15 years ago. And it sat on the shelf, and I said, well, that looks like a good project for the meeting. Well, I decided I better go out and practice, and realized I had no idea how I made it. So I went out and figured I better start with, I don't have much good wood anyway. And I figured I'll just use some pine and see what I could come up with. So I made it out of the pine. I had no intentions at all on finishing it. And it's not finished now. It's ready for the garbage can. But it's cleaned it up so it don't look too terrible. But I never did do it at the demo. We talked about it some more and decided it was going to run out of the time frame that we had to do it. And then I decided, well, maybe I'll try a little more and see if I can improve on it, because it didn't come out very good. It had problems. So today I started yesterday to make another one for a starter to give us an idea how to do it. And I goofed it all up. I spent the whole night thinking about it, and don't ever do that. Everything I thought about was wrong. I couldn't get it through my mind how to do it. But this is a project that Jim Duxbury would be good at, because it has to be measured just exactly right. In order, if you look at this, it's not right. This is thicker and this is thinner. And of course, it was never intended to be a finished piece. It was just going to be a demonstration on how to do it. And I cleaned it up a little bit. But anyway, I was going to get you some idea of what I started with. This is what I started with, is a couple of 2x6s. You can see on the end the size of them. And I got it all marked out and laid out how it's made. And this on the end is centered. This bottom, that's going to be the bottom of the bowl. And it's 3/8 of an inch here to come off. And then there will be 2 tendons on the bottom. And this is what the top looks like as I started. It'll go on the lathe like this. So the reason I marked those and highlight with a black marker is it's going to be turning towards me. I'm going to put it between centers here, and it'll be turning toward me, and I can see them black marks coming around. So I can just turn those away, and when I get them turned away, I'm going to be into pretty close to the shape I want. Then I make a little cardboard template and make sure I'm round. But if you could look at the end, the reason I did that, that's just done for show, just to show you guys. That's laying out what it's going to, that's the profile of the bowl when it's done. And the top, you leave yourself a lot of room because the side is going to be bigger than the top. See, this is the top here. This is going to be the top of the bowl. Those 2 holes that I got in there are for the woodworm screw. And they have to be really, really close. I tried a couple of times to do it by hand, and I found the best way to do it was marking it out real good and then taking clamps and clamping it to the drill press, especially with this pine, because the drill wants to walk. And if it walks a 1/16 of an inch, it's going to cause this to happen. See what I mean? It's got to be right on the money. It's not really a very hard turning project. It's just a layout project, kind of boggles your mind a little bit when you get going. Because you're thinking if you come in straight, it's not gonna be round. Well, it is gonna be round. But your mind doesn't want to do that. I think I'll just leave the future one of these up to Jim. But this is just a demo piece that I was gonna do. I don't know if I might take it up in front of the club and start it from here and see if any, because there wasn't a lot of interest in it. They really liked the idea, but we'll see. But this is just scrap wood. I just glued a couple 2x6s together, and I thought I'd show that to you.
Hey, Jim. I'm sorry, Terry. So
Yeah.
those two holes, okay, so you can make it any size that you want. So I was gonna say the distance. So whatever size bowl you're gonna make, you just want to what, blend in on one
No,
end?
that hole is for the woodworm screw.
Right.
I'm gonna put it between centers and turn it like this, and take it all the way. So I'm gonna have two round bowls. It's gonna look like this.
Right.
Okay. And then this is the facing me. I'm gonna turn it around. I'm gonna take these and put a woodworm screw on my chuck and screw this onto the woodworm screw. So this is gonna be going around circles like this, flopping. Okay. And then I can hollow out the one that's the inside. Do that. And then I'll come to the bottom and I'll put two spigots on, which will be centered because those screws are centered. So I'll take this away. I'll go 3/8 of an inch and I'll put two tendons on here, corresponding with those holes. Okay, so I got two tendons on the back. I put one tendon in the chuck, and the thing will flop around in circles, and I'll hollow out one side. And then I'll take and put the other one in the chuck and hollow out this side. And it's not really too difficult. The only thing I ran into was I had to switch back and forth a little bit because as I was hollowing them out, I changed the weight enough so that it was started to vibrate on the lathe. So I had to go back and forth a couple times on the center. Does that make any sense to anybody?
I guess
Yes.
exactly. Yes, perfect sense. That's a really cool idea.
It's good to me.
Like I say, you put that on a screw,
That is
and then
cool.
you come to the back of it and make a tendon that'll fit in your chuck. And then then you don't use those holes anymore. You don't need them. You turn around and you chuck it up on one side and then the other.
Sounds
And
like
that's how you do it.
All
I
right.
wish I could get the internet and stuff to work in the shop, but I can't. I was even thinking about going out and doing part of this tonight and come back and show you. Maybe I'll play with it this week and take it to another stage and show it next week at the next stage. You might get a better idea.
That
what I'm
sounds
doing.
good.
Oh, you can always record it and do it that way.
Yeah, I know. I'm afraid I'd shoot the phone.
What I
I
have
don't
to
get
do is
along with
record.
the technology very well.
Okay. Well, thanks, Terry. That's a very interesting piece.
Very.
It
Thank
was a
you.
lot of fun.
Thank
It's
you.
really not that hard. It's just thinking about it. I'm done.
Okay. Let's see what Sandy has.
Sandy.
What you got, Sandy?
Hi, everybody. Not too much. As many of you know, I've been gone for a while and I got back and I belong to the Arizona Club because that's where I am for now. But they gave me a kit prior to my leaving to make for a wig stand. And I thought, oh my gosh, now what am I going to do? So I got back. I turned like a crazy person until I got my wig stand done. I don't know if I can get this back far enough because it seems like I'm working on it.
Oh, we can see it.
So anyway, this is a kit that they gave me in which I thought, oh, this is way cool. I don't even have to worry about wood. But the problem was they gave me different kinds of wood with this kit. So everything turned differently. And I thought, oh, this is not working too good. But it worked out fine. And I finally got it done. I got my name on there, made some beads for the base. They thought it was a good idea. One of the gals suggested that we concave here a bit so they could take their earrings off or whatever and put that down in there. So I got that done and painted. And then this was another kind of wood here. So you can tell it turned differently. I couldn't figure out what to do with that. Just a little paint. And then I did here on the top of it. So yeah, I know it doesn't seem very exciting, but considering how much time I had to get this done, I was really excited. I think I was up until like 11 o'clock at night painting.
Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice,
That looks
Sandy.
great, Sandy.
Anyway, the group I meet with will be this early Saturday. So at least can finally give that back and feel like I did something.
Did you hand paint those flowers?
I'm sorry?
You hand paint the flowers?
I did.
Very nice. Very nice. I like it.
Thanks. And my only other piece was I brought this piece from home, this piece of wood, And it was a madrone log that I had, and I set up and made my blanks, like we were talking about earlier. And with madrone, if you're from the Northwest, I don't know how many people are familiar with it. It's a wonderful wood, and it's a crazy wood. Sometimes you can get a piece of madrone and it'll stay very light, and the next time it can be very dark. Because I boiled this, you boil it like 2 hours per inch. It was a long time, and I thought I might end up in a divorce court because my husband had a brand new barbecue the kids gave him for Father's Day or something. I said, can I use it outside? Because it has that burner on the side. I got stuff all over that grill, and it never came off. Never came off. And so anyway, this is the first piece, and I boiled this in 2018 and just turned it before I left to go back east. But this was the most difficult thing I've ever painted. Doesn't it look simple? Like
really pretty.
How hard can that be? But I was using iridescent paint, and for the life of me, it did not want to stay on this bowl. It's got like 5 coats for each one. But it turned out to be a pretty nice bowl, and nice and flat and good, and a long time. And it's not too bad. So that's my 2 pieces I've made in the last 6 months. So that's all I got. A wig stand that I'm going to take to the club. And this, I imagine I'll take it home. We're getting ready to leave.
Very nice.
So go back to Washington. Hopefully life will get better.
Nice piece.
They're both very nice, Sandy. Very nice.
Oh, thank you, guys. That's it.
Okay, next up is Leonard. Maybe. What you got, Leonard?
Can we talk to somebody?
Yep.
Yeah.
You went away, Leonard. We can't hear you.
Nope.
That's like the mic quit or so. I don't know what happened to it. Well, why don't you show your piece?
It's on.
You were there
Oh,
for
there
a
it is.
second.
Both of these were on.
We got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
Okay.
you.
So about a year and a half ago, when I got my lathe, my wife asked me to make a pencil box or something for her desk at work. So I made this. It's like one of the first pieces that I actually can say came out halfway decent. She's got a new desk. It's much smaller. She asked me to make one for her favorite pen because she only keeps one on her desk. So I took a branch and I started trying to figure out what I'm going to make. So I looked up, I looked at like inkwells, the old fashioned pens. So I actually turned 3 pieces, 1 branch. This one here is walnut. So it's just kind of so that she can have one, whatever she decides. This has a walnut finish on it. It's a maple. I wish I had actually put more finish on it. I only have like 4 coats. I wish I'd done more. This one here has a shellac and linseed oil based finish. It's got some nice color on it. The third one I decided I was going to dye it. It's green. Only got a little problem with it. So
never seen that before.
So then I went and turned a base for it out of some spalted elm.
That'll work.
Yeah.
So
that'll do.
Kind of actually the camera. So
good stuff, Len.
So
yeah, that's
it
nice.
works. I don't particularly like the overall dimensions of it. Kind of the top doesn't seem, it seems a little awkward with the base, but not bad.
It works pretty good. Works pretty good for me. I like
Make
it.
a couple more.
I do too.
Just make some more. Make some more.
So
it's separate from this, right?
But that's what I got.
Very good.
Yeah, great job, Leonard.
Thank you.
I'm sure
Thanks,
she was
Leonard.
happy with them.
Yeah, she is. She hasn't decided which one she wants, but I'm gonna put
There you
felt
go.
on. I'm gonna put some felt on the bottom.
I keep turning it
when they
on
sit
and I
the
want to
desk.
go on.
Thanks, Leonard. All right. Well, next up is Bob. What you got, Bob?
Birdhouse Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Self. I
There you
got did a demo the other night and I did a platter, and I finished it this week. And this is the platter.
Oh my.
The
Nice
eggshell on the rim. Did that after I got home.
That
And
turned
then
out
this
nice,
is
Bob.
the back of it.
Very pretty.
Thank you. And then I've got another one that I did. And I did this one in a burgundy. It's a piece of walnut with the eggshell.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you. I thought it turned out nice. And the bottom's textured on it.
How do you do that? Eggshell?
Love it.
And that's what I
Bob,
got.
you're going to have to increase your prices due to the cost of eggs now.
That's right.
Fantastic
Need more
work.
eggs.
Fantastic work. Great job, Bob.
Thank you.
All right, Dane, over to you for the introduce the demo.
All right. Well, with that, before we get to the demo, let's see. We still don't have Safety Sue in this evening, so she's still feeling a little ill. So we send our best wishes to her. But with that, we have a little advert that's been produced by our founder here that I would like to play. So just give me a second here to cue it up, get the stereo sound in, and let's take it off here with Captain Eddie.
Hey, I'm Captain Eddie Castellan, worldwidewoodturners.org. I want to tell you something about what we do. Now, besides have a weekly meeting online that you can join each and every week, but if you miss it, it'll be on our website. We also have a great website, worldwidewoodturners.org, which is free and you can go there. But we produce a newsletter. That's right, a newsletter every other week. Yeah, all right, every other week. And it's something kind of unique. It's produced by our members. There's no advertisement. You can't buy any space. It's full of information, photographs, details, articles, all written by wood turners for wood turners. And it features things that you may have seen in meetings or at other places. I mean, if we see it, we show it. So that's what we can do for you. Now, if you want to get a copy of it, it's easy. All you need to do is go right up there in our newsletter, in our website, worldwidewoodturners.org, go to newsletter, and there's the most recent one. But right next to it is a place where you can search all the old ones, all of them. So everything we do is in plain sight all the time. Did I say it was free? Yeah, I surely did. And it's there for you. Now, if you want to be part of this, it's even easier than that. If you want to send something to us, see that address right there? editor@worldwidewoodturners.org. That's the one you mail the photograph to, or if you write an article or whatever, that's where it goes to. JJ will use it because we love to share information. You see, that's what we're about. Worldwide Woodturners is about sharing information, and that we do it very well. It's a free club. It's open to anybody in the world whatsoever, and it's just there because we love wood turning. I can't get any simpler than that. So if you need us, look for us. Worldwide Wood Turners. And me. Look at that. Captain Eddie. And oh yeah, while you're at the website, check out Level Up. It's the wood turning experience unlike any other. See you then.
Outstanding. All right. Thanks, Captain Eddie, for that. That was, you just
Love
keep outdoing yourself each week. Each week, you just keep getting better and better with these. So with that, let's go to our featured demonstration this evening. We have Mr. Kurt Kapp in, and he is going to be doing a demonstration for us. It's going to be Kurt's demonstration. So any questions or comments, let's keep them to the end of the demonstration, unless Kurt wants to sequester participation from the gallery here. Otherwise, if you type in your questions in the chat, I will be monitoring the chat, and I will ask questions periodically whenever Kurt's at an opportune time tool changeover or doing a different turning process. And with that, I am going to mute everybody. So Kurt, you will have to unmute yourself. So I'm going to mute everybody now. Folks, do not unmute yourselves just to say something. Let's be respectful. And we'll get all questions and whatnot answered at the end. So I'm muting everybody. And I got you now, Kurt.
Good?
Yes, sir.
All right. Here's what we're going to do. Well, let's back up here a little bit. Back out a little bit so you can see it.
Pretty. Look at that.
Little three-cornered box.
Nice.
They're actually a lot simpler to do than what you would imagine. It just takes a little bit of patience and practice. The one I'm going to do tonight's a little bit smaller. This one is started out with about 4 inches of a cube, I think. The one I have for tonight is a 3-inch cube. The important part on these is that it is a cube. These measurements need to be as close to exact as what you can get them. If you're going to make it into a lidded box, if you're just going to make a little 3-cornered bowl, it really won't matter. But if it's going to be a box with the rim, it needs to be very close. And I'll show you where it shows up in the weirdest place or in a different place. No drive center. I'm just putting the corner into the headstock. There is no point in this this live center. It is a cone. It's the one-way style live center. So it's going to be held between centers just like that. It's really pretty simple. And I'll bring the tool rest up relatively close because these corners go away in a hurry. And they're close enough. Come in maybe a little bit more. You can check them, use your finger or a pencil, and just put your fingernail on the corner of that, come around, make sure the 3 corners meet, and they do, which they should. If it's not, you can adjust this. You can wiggle it around a little bit here and there. Other than that, it's pretty simple. It's like I say, it's not a hard project, but it's a project that has a tendency to scare a lot of people because you can't see a lot. So our speed is going to be slow to start. As you can see, we have a lovely U in the middle of it. That's the first thing we want to get rid of. Like I say, we're going to turn these pretty quick. If you're not comfortable with that, then slow it down. You got to have better tool control and things like that. I turn relatively fast, so we're at 1900 right now, just to get rid of the corners. Just nice little light cuts coming in from the end. Don't go the other way, it'll tip it out. And ideally what I'm going to do is actually make it into sort of a cylinder. So we'll come in a little bit from this end. Flip over and come in a little bit from the other end. At this point, we're not removing much material, but we also don't want to be overly aggressive because we do not have a lot of drive on it to be aggressive. If you get too aggressive, it's not no big deal because it's not going to go anywhere. It just stops spinning. Kind of one of them things that it just stops. So we're sort of to a cylinder. It's not being very friendly there for some reason. That's part of taking just the corners off. So now we'll take it down a little bit smaller, a little bit more speed. It's in balance to start with, so you could run this as fast as what you possibly want to run it. I also want it cut cleanly up, especially up here. This end will be the top. So now that we've speeded up, slowed our progress down, there's still a little bit of a chip there. But that part will go away. The chips, the place that I'm more concerned at would be from there up, so that we don't have anything torn up here. So a little bit of grain that's standing up on the one corner, but not too bad. doing these kind of projects, the wood needs to be straight grained. I've never tried one in curly. In a curly grain, it would probably be a nightmare because you're as soon as you put it on corner to corner, you're no longer doing spindle work or bowl work. It's somewhere down in between that lovely little gray area. We'll take it down just a little bit more. At the top, we're going to start to make it curve towards the middle, keeping our cuts light. Not really towards the middle, towards the bottom. We're not going to go real far at this point in making a shape because we need to know where our tenant's going to be. So I have a divider set. I'm going to use the Vicmark VM100 chuck. So 1 3/8 is somewhere up in that area. So if I put a mark across there, it doesn't need to be a pretty mark. It's just an idea where it's going to be. So I have an idea of where that tenant is going to be. It's also going to tell me where my feet are going to be. So at this point, I'm going to spin around here a little bit and I'm going to start making the tenant. I'm going to go in first with a straight parting tool, and then I will use one that's grounded and angled to match the dovetail jaws. You kind of have to be a little bit gentle when you're doing this part of it. Remember I said we're not going across grain, it's somewhere in between. So when I get up to my line, and we're going to go in about the diameter of the tailstock is going to get us close to where we need to be. We're also looking to see whether we're getting somewhere close to a solid surface to grab a hold of, which is the important part. This is one of those times that you're really tempted to do the right-handed and tool and left hand in this, but as you can see, I'm not necessarily going in there very straight. So it would be probably not be a good idea to do it. So that probably gives us a complete circle, I think. Yep, it doesn't matter that there's still a little bit there. All I'm interested in is that little bit at the top. So we're a solid 1/8 of an inch, more than enough to grab a hold of with the chuck. We're less than the calipers, which is okay. There's a little wiggle room there. Ideally, this surface here should be flat or even slightly concave. The flat works well in this situation. Leave a little bit extra room in there. Also a little dovetail. This parting tool is actually ground at the angle of the chuck. Okay, now we know where we're going to hold it to. We can go back to doing more shaping before we remove any more material down there. This is also another one of them places you shouldn't move the tool rest anyhow, but everybody does it. This is one of the places you don't want to do it because if you get your fingers anywhere near those corners, it might be a short day in the shop, to say the least. And you can tell it wants to fight you in certain directions, more so than the others. And now we're going to start bringing our curve in. We can go the whole way in as long as we flip over and make sure we're at 90 degrees when we touch that corner. Once again, we're not totally worried about the shape because we're only going to do a little bit of this. We're going to take it down a little. No, that's where it chipped a little bit on me. We're not locked in to these. That's still the flats right there. Since we got that tenon on there, we can go down a little bit further if we need to or want to. Reason we don't take more of this away at this point is because we need support because we got to hollow the other side out. So that should be good. And it takes a second to look. Should always look. Not that it really makes any difference. That'll work. Yep, that's fine. So we'll go back with our parting tool. We're not going to part this off. Don't get excited. We're going to take it down fairly small. And then we're going to give it a really nice taper. Something like that. And then we can cut it free. Just use a little, I just use a little Japanese pull saw. That's all it takes. Get rid of that. Don't let that hit the floor. As you can see, there's a point sticking up. It's not very friendly when you step on it. So they tell me.
Sounds like experience.
I try and catch every little piece like that because I always step on them. I mean, I have a very soft pad underneath my feet, but one with a point on would not be a great situation. So now we can put it chuck. Like I say, I wasn't concerned because we still have an 1/8 of an inch gap there. So we could even go even smaller than that. But I'm going to bring the tailstock back up. I'm going to loosen it up just a little bit. Bring that in tight. Tighten it back up. Now, once again, we sort of need to know about how thick we're going to go. We'll leave it thick just so that we don't get too carried away. And mark a couple corners and maybe or maybe not be able to see them.
Kurt, for doing your base there, did you just do that based on a ratio, or is it just based on eye from making multiple vessels
Just
like
based
this?
on, basically based on eye. I actually sort of went down a little bit too far. I'll show you how to correct that once we get to the bottom. Because this now, if you hollow this part out down here, which we will at a later stage, as you can see, it's going to sit down here on a point rather than on this point up here. So you just make a tiny little cut across here to make it flat. And I usually do too, because I don't know if that other one did or not. Because if they don't, yeah, see if I flip this one over and look at the bottom of this one, I've taken a tiny little cut off. So now it gives it, it's still sitting on 3 points, but it's more substantial.
Right on.
Okay. That way you can make the foot as small as you want too by doing that.
Oh, good point.
Because to me, they don't really look right if this foot would be the same, basically the same size as what this is. So it should be more, sort of more decorative, I guess you would want to call it. Once again, we always spin things, slow it down, bring it up to speed. Not perfectly centered. It doesn't matter because we're going to recut everything on the outside anyhow. Simple little cut straight towards center. Don't pick the gouge up. I'm sliding back on the bevel. That's where some of the little chatter is going to come back. can half see my line, and I actually think I'm getting fairly close to it. Yep. That's why you mark all three. You can sort of get a little bit of a ghost image as to what's there. So now we can go in a little bit underneath. Get rid of this. You practice your little toothpicks if you wanted to. Eventually it'll just fall off. Hopefully it just falls off. I'm every once in a while I get carried away and I will hollow these down further yet, so that becomes a longer one. It fell back there, so we're all right. It's not on the floor. And if you knock them, if you just back off the tailstock and just touch it to break it off, every once in a while them little buggers will go down inside of there and it becomes this little missile going across the room. So be aware of what things can do, I guess you'd say, or might do. Now we're going to switch over. We're going to hollow this thing out. I might have to move the camera, so we have to move. Actually,
No, it looks good.
Looks good. Okay. So we're still at 3/8 of an inch there. We need to get rid of some material because now we're going to create the bowl part of it. We'll get a little bit of the middle out. Just so we have a little bit of room to move. My body, how I do this stuff, do any of this stuff like this, my right hip is against the lathe, so I am looking straight down at this piece. So my left eye is over here, my right eye is on this side of it, and you can see the wall. I will have to bring the light around once we get to the part where it gets thin. So right now I have that 3/8 of an inch line that we're going to go to. Stop and see where we're at. I'm sure we're still plenty thick. Yeah, plenty thick. So we're still, like I say, I was able to still see that line. And we have a curve going across here that should match, that will match this curve. So this shouldn't, at least when I looked earlier, it didn't do too bad as far as, you know what, I did that wrong. How about that? That wipes it out.
If you need the light, go ahead and use the light, Kurt. I know what it's like when you're trying to
We'll
hollow
try
it.
it. It's really more the light on the left side of it, which giving me that, but not wiping it out.
Yeah, you can really see the tool going in there on the left-hand camera. That's great.
Well, yeah, that's what makes these fun. Everybody's saying, well, I've started teaching classes at Woodcraft and trying to get people to look somewhere other than what down at the tool to see what the tool's doing. I'm like, there's other
Right.
places to look. Well, this is one of them. I mean, I can see the tool right straight through the piece anyhow as it spins. As you can see, we're not deep enough, but we'll make this up here closer to what we want, which in my opinion is about 1/4 of an inch. and try and make it even for that first section. I think it's pretty good. Probably a little, maybe a little fat on the quarter, but we'll come back and trim some more of that off. We need some more room to move. This is also the 40-degree the 40-degree gouge, which it does not like to go straight into end grain.
Yeah, I made a comment about your 40-degree earlier, saying that you were making it sing.
The other place that I can look as the turner, if I look straight down, I can now see looks like there should be a solid line, which there pretty much is a solid line coming around. I want a little bit of room, 1/8 to 3/16 in there for the lid. So now as you can see, now we're pretty consistent. It's a little jagged right there. The other thing you got to watch with this kind of stuff, these can be very, very dangerous when you're turning them. All these edges right here are extremely sharp. Even though this is still saw cut out here and here, these are very, very sharp. So any little oopsie doopsie and you're going to be bleeding. That's pretty much as far as you can go with a 40-degree gouge. It actually tore a big chunk out in there. The 40-40 gouge is fine for certain things. As far as I'm concerned, it's not the go-to bowl gouge, especially for somebody that's just starting out. Because they will not go around this corner here. The other thing, his hand has to stay on this side of the tool rest, no matter what. So we can clean up our area down here with a parting tool. We want a nice little shoulder here. Does not have to be very big. 1/8 of an inch is more than enough. We can cheat and use our parting tool and give us another place to sit our bowl gouge on. The other thing I like to do with them is I'm going to pick up my spindle gouge and I'm going to come down this wall. And I'm going to go into that corner and I'm going to put a teeny tiny little V groove down in there. It's just another place of interest, I would call it. For somebody that, especially for somebody that doesn't know anything about wood turning, take these to a craft show. They're not a great seller to start with. I can tell you that much. They were the first handful that I made, they sold right away, and you make a bunch more and then nothing, and they don't sell.
Huh. I wouldn't have thought that.
Now, actually, the ones that are left are, as far as I'm concerned, most wood turners would think they're really pretty because they're spalted maple. I had some spalted maple that was very, very, it's spalted and it's really, really lovely spalted. And it's very solid because you can't do this kind of work with stuff that's not solid. I've tried it. I've tried it with some box elder and things like that, and it just does not work. So that's probably deep enough for the bowl because we're not trying to make a deep bowl. So if we did our little eyeball test on the corner, I'm down almost to this groove now. And we're going to take that further down, but we also have to keep in mind, we're going to make this shape on the outside match or thereabouts. Now I've left a little dimple in there. It's not really very very pretty. So here's where you can be really, really brave. And you can pick up the big monster bowl scraper. That is a traditional scraper. It's not a negative rake scraper. And just go in there and carefully try not to send it flying across the room. It's going to be a real pain because I've dug a little hole in the bottom.
Oh, you got this all day long.
Now this one is not is it's made for bigger bowls. So I'll just go back in with the gouge. A lot of times if I have too many ripples in there, I will take and use either the negative rake or a traditional scraper and go in there and clean them up and then make one final little pass. And that way everything should be clean. And don't do that. That little ticking was me coming around just a little bit too far, and it started to touch them. That'll work. That'll sand out. It's not really a dimple, it's a tit sticking up, so to speak. So, first question anybody's going to have is how do you sand that, right?
Very carefully.
Well, not really. Power sand it. You just stick your drill in there. It actually will work. This is 2 3/8. It would actually work better for with a 2-inch one. You can go in there. Don't spin it on the lathe. It'll spin itself. Put your hand on the chuck and let it float around in your hand. Just like that. It's actually very simple. You can sand it the whole way through. The only thing is on the inside, you're going to have to, here's where you need to have clean cuts. There's little ripples in there, but you're going to have to take a piece of hand sandpaper. That's because I have not yet to figure out any way to power sand something like that. Believe me, I've tried a couple different methods. The only thing you can do is hand sand these. You can figure out which way the grain's going and sand with the grain. It'll actually go a little bit easier, but they get hand sanded. That whole area right through there. The rest of that gets power sanded. So that's pretty much the inside for this general purpose. That's the inside complete. If I was doing it as a finished piece, this would be totally finished sanded in here, complete. Usually I'll sand those you can come back after, but this would be completely sanded in there because this is really the only time you're going to be able to have good access to that. At least the way that I do it. I'm sure there's probably lots of other people would have other ideas on how they would like to do something like this. For me, you could probably, and I was just looking at that earlier tonight, I'm like, you could probably just continue on with the outside shape here and continue running that down, this down to whatever thickness you want down in here. But now you have to work around the chuck. And I don't like to do it that way. I'm not saying it couldn't be done. I'm sure it could be if you were careful. A little jam chuck, a little jam piece. Actually, if I was doing that as a finished piece, I would probably go right to one of the small vacuum chucks as my jam chuck so that I could, when I was ready for it, just turn the vacuum on and finish taking the bottom of this off. I won't be able to take all this off tonight because I still need to be able to get a hold of it to be able to sand it. I've spent an hour, but I would do that under vacuum I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's not a gallery kind of a piece. Simple jam chuck. Rear tail stack back up. This is why we tapered this. Perfect center every time. Do that on your bowl. I now do that on the bowls because that little nub fits inside those chuck jaws, no matter whether it's a 100, 120, whatever size jaws it is, that always fits in there. So basically a little Morse taper centers things up quite nicely, usually, although the one I had earlier didn't center up very well. I got this one moved around a little bit. Close enough. Once again, it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. If this is a little bit out around in here, which it shows that it is, who cares? Because we're going to recut this. We're really not going to cut. We could probably actually come back whole way back up to the top on this one because they're a little bit thicker than what I normally maybe would do, but that's neither here nor there. Here's one of the places if you don't like to turn at a higher rated speed, then don't. The bottom you're going to almost have to a little bit. Let's see how bad it chatters up here. It wants to talk to you. So there's nothing supporting that material up there. So it's not a good idea to take a whole lot more off up there at this point. Do it on the first stages. This is actually also another place that's a 40-degree gouge. If I remember right, I think we'll work just fine on this. Gets the wings back out of the road for you. You can also do it strictly with the spindle gouge, a 1/2-inch spindle gouge, which is how I will finish getting down in there.
Kurt, can we just use the overhead camera?
Yes, sorry.
That'll work.
Got it.
Thank you.
I need you watching on Saturday night to keep up with me. I forget to do that all the time. I went and sharpened tools.
Be more than happy to help you out on that. Just give me advance notice.
So now we're going to, even at this point, since we have this angled, we can go back to whatever we want because there's still going to be a point down here. We could make them smaller and smaller if we wanted to. They're still about 3/8 of an inch, so they need to come down a little bit. I'm going to switch over to the spindle gouge. I don't trust I can't really see the bottom wing when it flips over. And I know very good and well that it will cut quickly. Just takes a little bit more time to do it with the spindle gouge. Time well spent, well worth the extra effort. We keep digging into that corner a little bit each way. So we're happy with our result. Happy with step back, look at the shape. If we wanted to and needed to, we could stop, back this off, and you could caliper that to make sure. Especially since we have it in this fashion between centers, it's going to come back to where it was at. So we could go in here and use lovely little calipers. That's probably one of the best investments. I was down in Tennessee to a symposium in January, and Laurent, who is Trent Bosch's son-in-law, now they've come up with these little mini calipers for lidded boxes and little hollow form. Well, I'll tell you what, I've used this thing more in other places than what he designed it for. So we're still probably half an inch out in that area. You really can't tell where the bottom is at. The bottom is still above this area here. So we know we can take it down. We can make our curve go down further yet, which is the ideal situation as far as I'm concerned. The smaller it becomes, the more interesting, eye-catching it will become. Always keep an eye on where your fingers are at, where your fingers are going, because you're watching what you're doing as far as the tool goes, not really watching where your fingers are at. But you know you're safe as long as your hands stay on this side of the tool, right? And we're over at 90 degrees. This cherry will actually burn. You can see some little bit of a light line in there. What I'm looking for is a nice crisp, clean corner in there. Excuse me. A little bit of torn grain on this side of it. I rubbed that bevel just a little bit hard in there. So I should have cleaned that up. Yeah. And I don't necessarily worry about that. I'm going to sand down into there. The other thing that makes these, I could do that right now. The other thing that makes these, especially in the, like in just the sort of the, I guess you want to call it the plain wood, the cherry, and where really any of them, is take, and I normally would do this after I sanded. Take a burning wire, go down in that groove, and burn a line in it. It's a very simple thing. And now I don't have to sand down in that corner either, because that's guitar string, so it actually cuts into there. So it actually make a cut line in there. So when this is finished, it leaves that black line behind, and people will walk up there and look at that all day long, and they stand there. You can always tell when it's somebody that's maybe knows a little bit about wood turning or is a wood turner. I've had a couple of them come up and ask me, that's two pieces, right? No, it's not. It's just one piece. Well, there's a line, there's a line in the middle. I said, that's a burn line. They're like,
right.
Oh. And then they stand there puzzled. I'm like, would you like me to explain to you how it's done? They're like, well, yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, very cool.
So this would be sanded. This is actually sandable by hand up here. You could power sand some of this. I'm not going to do much of it. Get enough of a cold or something or other, but as long as you're gentle up here, maybe leave your speed up higher than what you would normally sand at. Just gently go across it. And that will clean that right up. Much easier than any other way, as far as I'm concerned. But it is hand sandable. I normally would sand it about 500 or 600 RPMs. I'm going to, for these, I would sand a little bit higher, but you can hold the sandpaper in your hand, put it in your hand like that so that your fingers are behind, and you can go right on across that. Just give your fingers a nice little massage. In order to get down into the groove, I cut my sandpaper that it's actually pretty small. So I fold it in half. When I'm doing something like that, I'm really kind of vigilant on where that corner is at. The two cut edges together, we can go down in that corner. If you're not comfortable doing that, then put it on a little block of wood or something like that, a little popsicle stick or something. And you can get right down in there. sand it the whole way. You do the same thing on the other side. I reach over I do it from the top because I can generally see more what I'm doing. When you grab the corner. And then you would sand it completely that way. You did a good job. Of course, that Jerry burned a little bit down there in there, but they generally don't take real long to sand. Especially because, like I say, you can power sand the whole way down into that area. So you really only have this little V groove down there. Like I say, if you don't want to stick your fingers in there, I don't have a problem. I mean, yeah, it's probably not a great idea to do what I was doing because you saw I hit the corner out here. So I could just as easily hit the corner with my thumb or something like that. So, tongue depressor, something thin, wrap your sandpaper around it and you get right down into that corner. And it's sanded. Same way with these up here, I would use a block of wood or excuse me. I have some sanding blocks that when it's still in this fashion, I would sand out across these because there'll be one of them. Usually only just the one is left. Yeah, the other ones have been what I do with them is run two sides through the joiner, and usually then they'll go through the planer so that I have the perfect square block, and then cut them off with a chop saw. So you'll have saw marks on one of them. They come off fairly easily. I'm gonna have to blow my nose a second. So now we have to finish off the bottom. We're going to bring our tool rest in, the shade on the low side. And we can go back over to probably maybe we can see that. Where we go there. I widen out a little bit. There we go. Get the double view. Once again, we're gonna go back and use our bowl gouge. 40° will be a little bit friendlier because it's a little with the 40° angle. I can be back in this area versus over here. I also have a small 3/8 inch bowl gouge to get into those tight places. Like I say, if I was making this as a finished piece, everything would be sanded and ready to finish outside, inside the bowl part. Before I got to this point, this is where it would be on for the vacuum chuck so that I can cut this off, sand the bottom, and be done. Just so you have more of an idea. We don't have a vacuum chuck. Of course, like I say, everything else would be finished at this point. We would just be cutting this curve.
Real good camera views here, Kurt. Good job.
There's a dark line in there. Why is there dark? Oh, there's a pencil line. I was gonna say, I'm like, what the hell's that dark line? That's a pencil line. Like, well, that's interesting.
Put it there earlier.
Yeah, I know. I see that. Okay. So once again, in my opinion, these should be about the same thickness there as there. This definitely shouldn't be thinner than the top, but relatively close to the same. Once again, when I look straight down on something like this, I'm looking through the void and I can see the thickness that we have. And I said about the corners, I probably should have done them first. I'm gonna have to bring my light around maybe to get a view of it. There we go. I should have did this before it was thin. It's going to talk to me. That's kind of doing it the brave way. The simpler way is just to sand them off. Because it's really sort of too thin to do what I'm doing. You can see, as you can hear, it wants to make some noise. If I would have done that before I started hollowing any more out. Okay, so now that still leaves you a pretty sharp point out there. Not a razor blade sharp point. But it also gives it a different look on the sides as well. Which, if you like that look, that's fine and dandy. If you don't like that look, then change it and do something a little different with it. I'll take a little bit more material off out here. So that's not quite so big as far as that flat. So there, now we're down to more of a reasonable flat. We're actually a tiny bit thinner than what we were up there, but that's neither here nor there. So you would continue close the flute to pick up the cut. It works so much better. So now you have less than 3/8 of an inch of material left. Hopefully it cut cleanly, not perfectly clean. If it doesn't, if it doesn't cut as clean as you would like it, with the bowl gouge, pick up the spindle gouge. The spindle gouge will do a lot for you on some of this stuff. You just make a really nice little light cut, nice and slow. Slow and steady wins the race every day. Right to the center, and that should have cleaned that up. Majority of it. Okay. Questions?
Nothing in the chat.
Well, then it must not be very exciting.
No,
Okay.
I think you're just covering the material extremely well.
Get that little bit puppy back out of there. So that's our bowl shape. And you got to watch with these. You can get these, I have a tendency to get these out of whack sometimes. Here's what happens. I just so happen to have one. It's actually was started out at maybe a little less than 3 inches. You can see, go back strictly overhead. You can see what happens if you don't run this curve down in. They look like they're little short and squatty or short and fat, rather than more of an elegant type shape. At least that's my opinion. So
that's cool.
Lid. And put this somewhere where I don't throw it flying across the room. I do have a little piece for a lid. The lids for these, I will not lie to you. The lids for these are actually more challenging than what you'd ever imagine.
Right.
One of the things when you do these curves in here, make sure that this is actually going more in straight and then curving once you get down to where it's going to be the bowl. If these curl in, you'll never get a lid in there. They actually look like they might even curl in a little bit. We'll find out quickly. The other thing that's kind of challenging or different, maybe I should say, not challenging. Life's a challenge, but is getting a dimension for the inside. Because you say, well, okay, let's go across. theoretically go across center. So that one point is center, and if I look across there, those 2 points sort of look like they go across center. So we're going to call it that. Drive with the left leg and don't let the right leg touch. Gotta see somebody, you gotta do that for somebody that has never turned a piece of wood in their life. They're like, and I'll hand it to them. You want to do that? No, I'll watch you do that. I told him, I said, it'll go across, it'll fly across the room. It's kind of exciting. So square it around. Come from both sides so you don't chew everything up. I did this ass backwards. Come to think of it. See if we can get it to fit first. So we'll leave our line. Check and see if we have a fit. It goes pretty close to being, that was actually a pretty accurate measurement, but it's, you can hear the squeak, it's too tight. These I do not want to be tight. These are actually really a loose fit lid is much better by virtue of wood moves. So, because I had one of them, one of the original ones I did, I had at a craft show, and my daughter was with me and said, hey, this guy come over here, and he said, that lid won't come off. And we were like, yeah, it kind of swelled up, you know? I mean, I got it off, and then it was okay, but certainly don't want to sell something to somebody that would not be very nice. So we'll just take a little bit more off. Like I say, I'm not really concerned if they rattle a little bit. To me, it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference if they do. Like I say, I did this ass backwards. I need a tenant to hold on to.
I did the same thing on my lid there 3 weeks ago also.
So, like I say, some of this stuff that I'm doing with teaching wise, it's you don't want to be rude to people. You sort of have to try and make it as simple as you possibly can.
Right.
So we'll get it down on the chuck. Now we can go back to there.
What kind of wood is this, Kurt?
This is maple. This is actually a piece of curly maple. So we need, yeah, we need to know how big the tenant's going to be, or the recess. Guess I should have measured that ahead of time. Would have been made more sense. Wonders of watching Alex Snodgrass. Rare earth magnet, piece of shrink wrap or shrink tubing. Pencil never gets lost anymore. So I'm thinking, how do we know where the center point is at? If we take our pencil and run towards the center, it leaves us a little itty bitty white dot in the middle. Anybody watching Richard Raffin would say, oh yeah, he showed that. Like, yeah. One of them things, another one of those things that's not right. I had that wrote down somewhere. Yeah, it'll work for this. That's probably too big. Somewhere thereabouts. Going to create a small recess. Chuck. Get rid of some of the center part. You can even make it a little decorative. Leave a little V groove or something in there. So you have a little bit of a visual interest on the inside. Make sure this is either flat or slightly concave to the middle. Once again, sanded. Finished. Sanded and finished, or at least sanded. Complete. Make sure you clean the dust out of that groove, especially if you're using the dovetailed jaws. It may not cooperate very well with you. I used to, and I'm probably the one that I had over here, probably has a little. Sometimes I would go back out here and put a little bit of a lip, a shoulder, which you could do just so they sit down inside a little bit further. Nice little shallow recess, shallow little lip. And of course we need our piece to make sure that all this fits. It actually feels like it's tight, but I don't know where. You can spend more time making a lid for these things than you can making the box. Like, trust me. And that goes the whole way in. It was just being weird. So I should have, I was in that position too. Trim off, or round over, I should say, more nonsense. Trim it off. Knock that sharp corner off. Of course, you would take care of that sharp corner whenever you sanded to go with it. You can make this into something that doesn't look like it's not supposed to be there. Nice little light cuts. Here's where, if you wanted to be creative and brave, good place to practice, I guess you'd say, too. If anybody, like say, anybody watching Richard Raffin or those guys, there is your traditional scraper. What's he called? It's a radius. It's not square. Tool rest needs to come up. Yeah, that's what that Thomas guy calls it, as a refiner.
Yeah, a refiner. Tomislav.
Yeah. So that right there is $15 to $20 on Amazon. It takes a whole lot of grinding to grind the tang down. The cutoff wheel will cut it. So you can cut the majority, you could draw it on there with a Sharpie or whatever, cut the majority of it off with a cutoff wheel, little cuts across and then come back. And then, a bunch of grinding. But they do work. They work extremely well, actually. But they will grab. You do something it doesn't like, and it will tell you in a heartbeat. So that gives us a little bit nicer, cleaner look in there. It also saves you a whole lot of sanding. If it didn't cut it cleanly, which it didn't totally cut it cleanly, you can also flip this up on its side and come back across. And then it will cut it really, really cleanly. I use this.
About what angle you got that cut at? Ground at?
Ground at. I actually have to measure it. Richard and them talk about 45 degrees. I'm like, no, that sounded too much to me. Actually, wait a minute. I'll let you able to answer that. I had one of those moments. Well, I can just measure it. When I was watching, back when all the COVID crap was going on, I watched several demonstrations with Glenn Lucas, and he has a little setup jig. Of course, all those guys have to have a setup jig.
Oh yeah, of course.
And what they like, I think I had it set for with his, just by virtue of I can use that jig to set it. Because I personally don't think there's any difference with this angle. It's still just a sharp edge. And all those professional people that want to talk about, well, the burr only lasts a couple of seconds. Well, maybe you should go back to traditional, because that burr lasts a long time on those. Why is, I don't know, but it does. You do not go back and sharpen these very often. And if you're watching either one of them, a little diamond hone, and you can bring a tiny little burr back up, and it cuts like a dream. As long as you don't. As long as this end is lower than that end, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Because
Presenting it at a negative rate.
You're presenting it at a negative angle. But there's certain places that it doesn't matter. Like when you do a lidded box, I have some that are square, sort of square, but they're still radius. They're not it's not perfectly square. It's laying over here. If you like to do lidded boxes and things like that, this is a square, what they would consider a square ended scraper. No, I'm showing you in the wrong place. A square ended scraper, but it has just a slight radius from side to side, so that you can't engage, because this is 1 inch wide, or 25 millimeters, which is pretty close to 1 inch. But this will go right straight down the wall of a lidded box, and I will let my students use this. This will go along to class this Saturday, because I'm doing a lidded box class. It has to be above center, and a fair amount above center, so that the bottom edge of it doesn't drag. And it will cut as clean as you can get straight down the wall of a lidded box. It does a really nice job on that. But nonetheless, okay. Last step, because we're not doing a finial. I had to change chuck draws, and I don't have anything ready for that. Everybody knows how to do a finial.
But not like Kurt does.
That's just a copy of Cindy Drozdis. That's all that is. Make something up.
Yeah, I've never done that.
Mine aren't exactly like hers. They're relatively close. Mine all look pretty much the same, though. I don't know, it's just my lack of imagination, probably. Her lid is pretty, it's pretty basic. It fits. we can actually get rid of some material. We started with probably 15/16. This is actually dimensional lumber. We got to bring it down a little bit. You go with the Jimmy Clues philosophy and say, if we split this in thirds, so 2/3 to 1/3, something like that. Roman ogee, the bowl gouge, your swept back bowl gouge has a curve to it already. But just very easily makes a curve. Makes that curve go up to there. It's gonna be looking weird because it's got to get thinner than what it is. Then come back up over here to the middle. Make this curve come down across to this curve. And you have a very simple Roman ogee type of a curve. Just clean it up a little bit, sand it, and away you go. Of course, this is still way too thick. These lids want to be pretty, going to be fairly thin because we left less than about 1/4 of an inch up there. So theoretically this outside edge that would be up here would only want to be about 1/4 of an inch. So if we take it down to there right off the bat, then we can go down to it. Not too fast. That 1/3, 2/3 thing, it does work very, very well for doing an ogee type curve. Something that pretty much everybody can do. Step back and look, and you can see see where there's some little high points. And I'm really just making sort of scraping cuts. The other thing, if I'm going to put a finial on here, I'm going to leave a tiny little bit of a flat in the middle. Not big enough for the finial to sit on. Once again, see that is, well, I don't know if the camera probably won't pick that. Well, you can see a little bit. You can see the lines. It is a curly maple.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's coming through. Especially right there.
But once again, once you would get it to that point, it's not necessarily super cleanly cut out there. I mean, it's kind of sandable. You could pick up a spindle gouge, a bowl gouge. This just happens, this is a little bowl gouge. And we could just make one clean cut. First of all, the profile is already there, but we make one nice clean cut and we're done. You could also do that with the traditional scraper as well. It will give you that clean of a cut if you have a little bit of patience and practice with them a little bit. So we're down to about 1/4 of an inch. Of course, you would something like I just knocked the corners off. I'm going to sand that round. It's more, what do you would call it? Oh, yeah, don't turn it that way. Safer to do it that way. Just as easy and really safer to do it that way. So there we go.
Oh, look at that.
So let's go back there. That would make more sense. So that's our little lid box.
Cool.
If I
We
had
should get you to throw some dye on that maple.
I can
You got
do that.
time. You got
I got
time.
that. What color? Oh, you want to see how I do it? Okay. I'm not
It happens to me all the time, Kirk. I understand.
I'm not a professional when it comes to that dyeing thing. You see whether they're having gloves over here.
Billy, why you always throw me under the bus?
Yeah, a glove.
You know, I like my color on wood like that.
So do I. I wish I could get tons of it. I have some more blanks over in the other room that are like 1.5 squares or something like that. So I need to make some ice cream scoops by, I think, June. I think somebody wants one. One of my wife's friends wants one. Get rid of this. Well, that's not been sanded. That's not very good.
Yeah, got to sand it a little bit there.
Just a little bit. Sand it with 220. So I'm
All
gonna get
takes.
a little 220. 320. Not really great practice to sand with gloves on though. But I always do it. I do it when I'm messing with the dyes. And it's one of the things that I try and that's one of the things that I emphasize to the people that come and take a class is no jewelry, no gloves. Actually, I had a young girl walk out of my class because I wouldn't let her use her gloves. She was like 14 years old, and I'm like, yeah, I wasn't rude to her. That's what I told the owner of the store. He said, it's your class. You do whatever you want, as long as you're not too rude to somebody. I'm like, well, I wasn't. I said, because personally, they all knew her, knew the girl, homeschooled. So, that's mama's precious little baby.
Uh-huh.
If mama was there, that's the golden rule is if you're under 18, mom or dad's going to be there and there's a chair, have a nice 3-hour sit or whatever we're doing.
Right.
Because you're not leaving. I'm not a babysitter. But yeah, she's like, well, the other guy let me do it. The guy who was teaching the class. I'm like, well, I can't speak for what these other older gentlemen did or didn't do. I said, but this is my class and we're not doing it. Alcohol-based dyes, Jimmy Clue's specials trick, spray the wood first.
Yep.
Wipe it off.
Spray the wood with alcohol?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's an alcohol dye.
If I was going to use water-based dyes, I would probably do the same thing with the water-based. That's kind of just me. These are chestnut spirit stains. Kind of too lazy to mix my own. I do have some that I have that are mixed. First color, black.
Could we see the tailstock camera, please?
That would be better. That would look much better. See, Dane sidetracked me. Dane sidetracked
Sorry.
me. We'll blame it on
Sorry,
him.
I was typing. Sorry, I would have caught
That's
that.
fine.
My bad.
That's an impressive black. That's really good.
Not as impressive as you would think. Certain woods, yes. Other woods, no. It's not black enough. As I spin it around, it's a camera, you can see that. That's not a light reflection. That's light color in the wood there. So if this was a piece that I was going to do the grain fill with, it's not black enough. The color of the wood still comes through.
That's why I like Speedball Super Black India ink.
Right. That stuff that does really well as far as to do the grain fill. And when it comes to that, I'm lazy anyhow. I just use Trans-Tint dye in some Zinsser Seal Coat shellac. And I can spray a nice coat of shellac, simple airbrush coat of shellac on that piece of wood. It's black and it's sealed all in one shot. So we went to black, cut it back. It's not friendly to your sandpaper because there is a little bit of shellac in chestnut stains. They call them stains or dyes. Or dye-based stain. So we'll sand it back. So I went with 220 to 320. I'm trying to get it lighter and lighter. We have dark areas, light areas. We could even go a little bit lighter, dark or more. This, now that you made me do this, this piece doesn't really have enough curl in it, I don't think.
Oh, you'll bring it out.
But it might still show through. So we've left some dark areas and some light areas. Now what color?
Let's see. You started with black. Let's go with a blue.
Dark blue, light blue.
Light blue, please.
I don't have a really, really, really light blue, but or do I? Actually,
The spirit stain royal blue is pretty good.
yes. But when you buy all the spirit stains, actually I should have bought another bottle of white, because you can mix their colors. So we have the royal blue, show over here, the royal blue versus royal blue with a bunch of white in it. So I was going more for a baby blue kind of look. So we'll see whether this does anything. I think this is actually too light. Yeah, it's not going to do anything for it. Too light. I think that's why it was still up. I think that was still why it's up on the shelf.
Blue.
And also, when it comes to blue, what's the other one I have? I have some of the artisan stain from Craft Supply, but I think that blue, I think, is dark. So we'll do royal blue. I think we should have sanded back further.
I could see the light shift.
Yep.
Yeah, but not as, it left too big of, there's too big of black areas in it.
Yep.
One of the things with playing with these dyes, it's always good to play with little pieces like this, something that's not going to break the bank or whatever. It's like, just cut it back off, sand it back off.
Right.
Or probably the easier one to do on something like this, since it's just a play piece, would be to get the spool rest back out.
Uh-huh. Gouge.
Yeah, we'll go back to the scraper. And now you would think, well, we're going to do over, but as you can see, there's still places that are blue that got left behind.
Right.
So now we can go and come back here, paper towel. Skip the black. The black works really well if it's really, really curly, and will just leave you little bits of black. But not always in the other way around. So we'll go back and put some royal blue in there. This piece definitely has some places that you can see as I spin it around. It wants to soak it in there, and not elsewhere. Careful with what you do with the paper towels. They're all laying right there in a pile. I will open them up and lay them over the side of the trash can, or take them out to the fire pit and light a match to them. They dry very quickly, laying over the garbage can. So it's got a little bit of chatoyancy to it. You go through a
we
ton
can
of
see we can see that shimmer when you turn it.
Oh yeah,
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
yeah. It's almost straight through the center.
If you had the time and and the funds, go take a class with Jimmy Clues. He is like the master at this stuff. He'd look at something and oh yeah, just do this, do that, and do this. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's because you're looking at it. I'm like, not me. And I've been there, I think, twice now. Second time I was there, he actually had, I said, I want to learn to use the dies more. They did have a piece of curly maple, and I made it, turned it into a nice little bowl. He said, okay, then we'll dye it. So now we've taken a lot of the blue off. So where do you want to go from there? Green, yellow?
Got some greens and yellows.
If you had the intrinsic colors available, I would want to see like something like the ruby or something on top of that.
Purple? As close as I got. I don't have a ruby.
Purple beet.
That's the water-based intrinsic
I know what they
colors
are.
has got it. Yeah. The purple is kind of bright. But hey, it'd work, I'm sure,
Go a little bit psychedelic.
Do a tie-dye effect.
Give it a second. We'll put some more on there. This is one of the things he was trying to teach me, is to do some of them little, he likes to do the little, put it right on the corner and just go along and flick in some colors in certain places all around it. And it looks like, I just kind of looked at him and went, well, that's pretty impressive. Looks like shit to me, but spray it with the alcohol. Get it good and wet. Keep it spinning just by hand. All those colors will blend together. And now you have something a little bit different. And as he put it, just like I did with the first go around, if you don't like it, cut it back off and start over.
Right. It's almost like a mother of pearl.
Right. So, I mean, that doesn't do much for me, but so you can make the whole thing yellow. Since we messed around with the yellow, because now we'll have some yellows and greens, which will bring out some of the chatoyancy too. And of course, while that's still wet, you could go back after it with something else. And there's nothing says that you have to go the whole way in. You could just go on the outside rim or something like that and leave a little bit of something on the inside. I'm a red kind of guy. My wife kills me. She says, why do you gotta make everything red? I'm like, because I like red. But there it is something different. Everything I won't do that I did at Jimmy's, and he just loves it. He would take this right there and go, here's my lighter, shit, light it on fire. Alcohol burns extremely quick, extremely hot. And when I got ready to start dyeing the piece, that's the first thing he did was reach in his pocket because he smokes. He said, there's my spare lighter. I'm like, you really want me to do that in your shop? He don't have, his lathes are just sitting there so all the dirt falls to the ground. He goes, well, yeah, that's what you got to do. Okay. It's kind of fun. I mean, you got to reach back here and keep that sucker spinning because alcohol, you can't see the fire, but you, buddy, you can feel her coming off. So that blue is not even open. There is another blue. Where's the other blue? Oh my gosh. But I mean, it was fun. It was educational. There's no doubt about that. See, to me, now we're getting too dark. But once again, we can go back. We can hit that with some alcohol, lighten things up a bit, wipe it off, and we wipe off half of what we just put on to change the effect. Change the effect. And when it's wet with the alcohol, that's what it's going to finish. That's what it's going to look like with a clear finish on it. So it gives you the appearance.
That really made it pop, though. You can really see the
Yeah, it's got a cool effect.
Yeah, it does.
Like I say, it needs to be it. I have some of this curly maple lumber that is just curled the whole way through one side to the other. That's the stuff to play with as far as to try and dye it, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm like I say, I'm an amateur at it. But and as Jimmy said when I was out there, he's like, you don't like it, you cut it off. And he had me do the whole thing, I think it was the outside of the bowl. I don't think I did the inside. Did the outside of the bowl, put all these colors on, lit it, and this and that. He said, oh man, that looks pretty good. You know, here's a rattle can of lacquer. We'll spray some lacquer on, I'll change the color again. So they put, I don't know, 1 or 2 coats of lacquer on. You know, he's like, well, now it's going to have to dry a couple minutes. So, you know, let's go sit down here and have a cup of tea and look at it a while. And he said, you know, then you can make your decision. Well, I sat there and looked at it and I'm like, I don't like it. And he went to help somebody else. I'm like, nope, I don't like it. I said, he said I could cut it off. I would never cut it off. And a couple minutes later, he turns around, he comes over, he says, what the F did you do? I said, you told me I could cut it back off. I'm like, dude, I said, I'm here to learn. He said, okay, right. We get to start over. But yeah. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got.
Well, that's an outstanding demonstration tonight there, Kurt. I really appreciate it. I know the group appreciates it. So at this moment, I will open up the floor to folks to ask questions or any comments that you may have.
Great demo, Kirk.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kurt. That was good.
Very good. Thank you very much.
The other thing you can play with when it comes to the dyes, I know Matt was talking about using the airbrush with the paints. The airbrushes do a good job with the dyes too. Now I wouldn't, the airbrush that he was using last week, that's not the airbrush I would use for the dyes. I would use the siphon feed one, which would be, let's go overhead. This little guy here. Much easier to clean.
Yeah, and you can leave the dyes in the can and cap it.
Yeah, I have other jars for it with the dyes already in them, and they just mark the lid for what they are.
Yeah, the dyes can be shot right out of the airbrush, right straight out of the airbrush from the can too. The Chestnut Spirit stains, they work great right from the airbrush. So some of those pieces, some of those pieces I showed last week were done with the Spirit stains. So
yeah, theirs is pretty consistent. Now I've gotten some of the artisan stains from Craft Supplies, and they seem like they're pretty good too. I don't have any issues with them.
Yeah, as long as they're not clogging things, you can just go for it. Yeah.
Well, all that stuff's alcohol based, so they're very thin.
Yeah, it should be thin.
Yeah.
If it's not thin, need to reevaluate it before you even bother putting it in. So does anybody have any questions or comments for Kurt on tonight's demo?
You said a cup of tea. Would that be a cup of tequila?
Nope. Jimmy Clues is an Englishman. Englishmen drink tea, hot tea. Because that's the first thing I said to him. I said, "You talking about iced tea?" "No, man, we drink hot tea. Iced tea's for wimps." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Then I won't tell you I had a 20-ounce bottle on the way here, but okay."
Would you show us
Right.
the example piece with the finial, just so we can see kind of where you're aiming at? There we go. Thank you. Just to get an idea of proportion.
Make it up as you go.
Yeah.
This foot's considerably smaller than the top, which I think looks good in that situation. Don't try and make the bowl part of it as deep as what you possibly can. Doesn't matter if this piece is not going to be heavy no matter what you do to it.
Oh, you don't have to. I was just seeing what.
And like I said, I did this part, the lid ass backwards. I normally would grab a hold of that like I did, put a tenon out here so that I can do the bottom, and the bottom is complete before I ever flip it around. And yes,
Right.
that bead right there is what I held on to on the inside.
What did you finish that with to get that interior of the bowl so shiny?
What do you think?
It's Parfix
Lacquer, I bet.
3408.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that Parfix?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
The whole thing's done with that.
Very nice.
I'll tell you what.
Now, the inside there might be, you can also use some of the abrasive paste over on the Parfix once it cures.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But I have the buffing balls, and that'll get in there and do that. The hardest part to try and get super shiny is these wings.
Yeah.
I do have some
Yep.
teeny tiny little buffing wheels that I can do them with. But yeah, there's another piece of that curly maple.
That's
finished-
a nice curl on that.
Finished natural.
That
It's
is
almost
nice.
it's almost just as good to finish them natural. It almost shows more of it, but
Yeah.
takes the right piece of wood. And don't ask me what the finial is. That was something I got somewhere. It's dark in color, put it that way. I'm not one to buy. It might have been some Brazilian ebony that I got somewhere cheap. But something like that, if I was to do that today, I normally don't go spend that kind of money on things like that because I can just take and make the finial, sand it. I can spray a coat of the black shellac on there, and if it's not super smooth it up, a couple coats of lacquer, which is all done out of the airbrush. I spray lacquer out of that airbrush too, a water-based lacquer. So
Very cool.
You can do some of the grain fill stuff minus the hole in the middle. So that's all done with the airbrush. That's blackened with the airbrush, grain filled, or shellac over top of that, over top of the grain filler, and then like 3 or 4 coats of water-based lacquer.
That's the prettiest funnel I've ever seen.
Do you have an iridescent paint on that, or
This is
shimmering?
Yeah, exactly. This is disappointing, really. I'm glad you see it actually shows more shimmering in the camera, I think, than what it does in real life.
Yeah, it looks great in the camera.
Chroma Guild makes some that are the chameleon.
Okay. Yeah, the chameleon paint. Okay.
And I think this thing has all 3 colors on it.
Yeah, I can see the blue and the purple for sure, and maybe the green and some of the lighter areas.
But the green and the gold one is the one I was just. Maybe this only has 1 on it. I did a couple of these with a couple of different colors, just to see whether.
Wow.
jumped out at
You
me.
should look at this in the camera because it looks great on screen.
Yeah, it sure does.
I mean, it has some, I don't know, it has some shifting to it, but not quite what I thought it was going to have. Put it that way. I did it on
It
a
looks
bigger,
good on camera.
I did it on a bigger bowl, and it actually looked a little bit better on a bigger surface. But
So what stage are you putting the chameleon paint on there? Do you do the black and then the grain fill and then the chameleon paint, or are
No,
you
no,
doing
no.
a finishing? Okay.
this would be turned, sanded, black shellac, airbrush, a nice even black layer of shellac, not too thick because I don't want to fill up the pores. It's kind of a little bit of a gray area. Let it dry. This is where you get into too much time in these, because the shellac, for me, takes half an hour, 45 minutes to dry. It's better off I do a couple of them and leave it dry overnight even. Then come back and put the grain filler in. I usually let that stuff dry for probably like an hour or something like that. And then I can go right back over top of that with the seal coat of shellac, Zinsser seal coat. It's de-waxed.
Okay.
It's very thin. So now I can come back with my water-based lacquer and never have an issue of will it adhere, because this grain filler stuff is all oil-based. From what I can read on their description, it's an oil-based. So I need a barrier between the oil-based and my water-based.
Okay, so you're putting in the seal coat shellac on, and then you're putting on the chameleon paints.
Yeah, it's a gilt cream. It's not a paint. There is chameleon paints out there too. There's also chameleon flakes.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. The craft stuff, the chameleon stuff, is you're applying it with your fingers or whatever. Could you explain that a little bit more?
It's a cream.
Okay.
I won't do it with the chameleon ones. Let me get my glove back. I can put it on a little piece of raw wood, but if it's not black, they really won't show up very well. It's this is they call it amethyst. I call it purple. It's a really vibrant purple. I like this one too.
Okay, but you're doing it after you've put you sealed it on first, right?
Correct.
Okay, that was my question. Okay.
It's actually going to show up in the grain on this one, but it's also going to color the wood as well. See, it goes right into the grain. But yeah, this would need those colors right there. And I'm pretty sure the chameleon, I could try a different background color, but I would think black would be the best one for it.
I think so too. Okay.
The surface that you don't want to fill needs to be sealed, or it does just what it did here. If you were just to try to dye that black and go over top of it, it'll turn the black a different color, because there's places on here where I evidently didn't get it sealed quite well enough, and it sticks to the black, and there's no grain that should have been filled.
Interesting. Okay.
It's kind of fun stuff to play with. It's not cheap, but it goes a long ways.
Thank you.
There's tons of different ones of them too. There's some that's the waxes. Hampshire Sheen has some waxes. They have quite a few different ones. There's actually some you can get at the craft store too. There's a white, and it's really white. This stuff was very hard to work with. I don't know if I think it said it was I think the original packaging said it was a water-based. It says it's waxed. One of them dried almost instantly. It was very difficult to work with. The waxes are easy to work with. These Hampshire Sheen products, and they're pretty easy to work with. he doesn't have a ton of colors. Got educated down in at the symposium because they have a pink. And I've woke up, my wife's like, you bought a pink one, and it is pink. I mean, that puppy is bright ass pink. I can't get it to stay pink. And I talked to a guy down at that symposium that had it. I'm like, I don't like the pink. Why not? He pulled out his phone and showed me pictures. He said, I said, what's over white? He said, well, it's got to be. I said, what color are you putting it over? I said, black. He said, well, it's going to turn purple. I'm like, okay. And the blue's the same way in theirs. He said that has to go over white. Most everything else is over black or dark color. It doesn't have to be black. Like that purple, you could do a purple dye and then a purple grain filler over top of it, because the grain filler is a different color purple and it'll still stand out. As
Okay,
long
cool.
as open grain wood. It has to be. That's the only difference. It's got to be I have a bunch of ash. There's plenty of other stuff out there that'll work. It will not work on a closed grain wood.
Got to have
That's it.
something to grab a hold of, right?
Well, it's got to have a place to go.
Yeah. Embed
I
itself.
mean, yeah, I mean,
So oak, ash, or hickory, or something like that that has open grain boards for
anything
the
with
stuff to settle
anything
into.
with
Yeah.
the big open grain.
Mahogany.
Mahogany probably wouldn't work.
No.
I wouldn't. It might. I mean, I've done some pieces that. I think I've done some pieces in oak, and it was more of a white oak, and it's just not. It's really, when it comes right down to it, I'd like to have all that kind of big wide rings in the open grain. I just think it looks better. It's more eye catching, put it that way. But there are a fair amount of work. Or I really shouldn't say that. Like in my case here, I would do the back, sanded, finished, because you can see, maybe, you can see right here is black. That's over top of the Parfix 3408. Guess what happens when the Vonnex hits that? It goes, rip, gone.
Yeah, right up.
Because it doesn't have, it can't stick to it. So I was able to spray the whole rim and really don't worry about that. But yes, that was sanded, finished on the back before I ever flip it around. And then just do the rim a little wider than what you think you want, sand it and do all that stuff to it, and then hollow the center out. And then you have have a place to put over top of your bottle or something or other. I don't know.
So you did the funnel on
for that,
purpose. You did the funnel on purpose?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I do not. I have a hatred for this right here, a recess, and that's why I hate. First off, the only thing I do a recess on would be a platter, just so they don't have, just being lazy, so they don't have to go back after it. Because 9 times out of 10, if you see somebody did this, it's usually because there's a recess in there and you forget about the recess. And, I went across the bottom. Actually, I think I did this on a live stream yet at that. And I'm like, oh shit. And maybe I didn't. I'm like, I heard it change tune right in about here. And I'm like, shit. I'm like, well, that's going to be gone. So I pulled it off and held it up to the light, and it went straight through. But so now it's designer firewood.
There you go.
And it's too daggone small, because you could do the last thing that Richard Raffin did, those guys did on their 4-ways thing, is take and make a bowl and cut it in half. And I'm like, well, I got that down there, but my God, if I cut it back to there ain't nothing left. So,
there's not enough stuff there to put a plug in it.
It ain't worth my time to do it.
Right.
Right.
That's
right.
I've done enough of them over the years when I first started out, and I'm like, I just, you know, I work 50 couple hours a week and teach classes 2 days on a one weekend a month. So no, I don't have time for that. That piece of wood will be in a fire pit. That's
That's such a pretty piece. I'd want to plug it and then color the plug so it matched the rim.
I've
Yeah.
done that already. That was actually
Gotta-
one of my
gotta-
wife's suggestions too. She said, "Well, you could do that." I'm like, I'd have all that time in it, and you know, what's somebody going to give me for that at the craft show? You know, you're looking at a piece that's $25. I said, nah. I said that's not worth
Pick
it.
and choose your battles on plugging stuff. That's
Yeah, it's just
True.
not. That
a
one,
lot of
that
effort
one there
plugging
would be.
stuff.
It would be a challenge to plug anyhow, because that
Still looks like a
recess,
plug.
that recess is well less than an eighth of an inch thick, eighth of an inch deep. So that's like
You'd have to-
330
you'd have to-
second deep there, and another 230. So you're looking at 5/32 of an inch, even if I cut straight back through it without hitting my chuck draws, because now the only way I have to hold this thing is back in this recess and come back over here and cut from this side in. And no, it's not
Okay.
worth the 60. That's not worth $60 draws.
True.
So
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, Kurt, once again, I thank you very much for a very insightful and a very good demonstration this evening. I know I learned 3-4 different things from what you were doing tonight, and plan on incorporating. So I really appreciate it. I'm sure the rest of the group learned something. If they didn't learn anything, they probably weren't paying attention.
that's right.
And
That's
with that, if nobody else has any other questions, we will go back to gallery. We got about 10
Well, I'll
minutes.
tell you
left.
what, that was all night. You talked about big names and big names. You know what? You're a professional too. It was very enjoyable evening.
Oh yeah, but it don't matter. I still go take classes. I just
Oh, yeah,
didn't.
Right.
No, you
Yeah,
always
We're all
learn.
trying to learn. All
I'll
trying to
tell you.
learn.
Very enjoyable evening. Thank you for sharing.
That's vacation, you know. I want to get to
Right.
Ireland and take a class with Glenn Lucas, but we'll figure that one out one of these days.
There you go. All right, Matt, let's do a couple more gallery before we end the evening.
We're gonna go to Jeff.
Hey, Jeff,
Hello there. How's everybody doing?
doing great.
I've been kind of sitting quietly in the background. I'm suffering with a really bad cold. First one I've had since I've retired. I don't know where I got it. So, anyways, last week I showed a bunch of pens that I made to restock the slim lines that I sold at last year's shows. I had 2 more to go. This one, I hope the grain shows up on this one. This is African teak. And it's got a beautiful grain. It's just a very fine grain to it. So, and then this one is one of the most beautiful pieces of olive wood that I've ever had. Look at that.
Wow.
Yeah, cool.
That's pretty.
So that's all I got tonight is just these last 2 slim lines. And I'm going to start working on some roller balls that I have to restock.
All right.
Oh.
Sounds like you got a good problem going on there, Jeff. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
All right, great. Hey, while I got you here, be brainstorming something for sometime in May.
Oh, okay.
I'll get in touch with you here towards the end of May.
Sounds good.
That'll work. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Who we got next, Matt? Try to speed
The only other person I had on my list, Dane, was Jim Duxbury, but he's no longer in the meeting, so I'm going to go back to you.
Oh, okay. We actually got one more, and let's go to Chief Morgan. Dennis, I'm bringing you up. There we
Okay.
are. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good. I've been absent,
That
but
hat.
I turn on Wednesday night, so I got a few things to show. I don't know if you can see them. This is a
Right.
maple platter.
Like that. cut out
16
there with
inches.
the natural edge.
Yeah, I put the natural edge on it. It was turned green, had to dry it. And I've been doing some natural edge bowls. So
Nice.
Is that oak?
yeah, that's oak. Let me just see here. I ebonized a couple of them. I don't know if you can see it that well.
Okay, yeah, you can see the black coming through. Oh, it looks
Oh,
great.
very cool.
And then
Yeah. Good job keeping the natural edge on it.
this had a natural edge on it. I ebonized this one. But the bark, it held pretty good, but it came off on one section, so I know it's got a knot in it. But this one was turned green too.
How are you ebonizing those, Dennis? What are you using the standard steel wool vinegar solution?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it works well. I put 2 coats on. It worked out really well. This is another one.
Got to get you to switch solutions.
Yeah, well, I'm one step at a time, Dane. I'm getting there. And then
I know you are.
This is a cherry burl that started out.
Look at that.
I know it's got some holes in it.
That's nice.
Those are features, Dennis. Those are features.
Yeah.
That looks really great. You got
I
the
wanted to
proportions, the whole
I
curve.
I wanted to get thinner, but I really was worried about this section here
Right.
because there was an inclusion there, if you will. So I've turned a couple of these, but like I said, I watch everybody on YouTube, so I'm learning a lot. I'd like to be here for the meetings, but I got done early tonight, so I don't want you to think I'm not watching.
No, no worries. We know you're here with us in spirit, one way or the other.
But anyway, I learned a lot tonight, just watching for half of it. So appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet, Chief. Glad you were able to make it in even for a little bit here. So hopefully you can hang out for a little while for the after hours. So
Yeah, but don't
like
fall
old
asleep.
times.
But don't fall asleep.
It's all right. Well, at least you ain't got to worry about any of us, coming in and painting your fingernails. So you're good on that. All right. So nobody else, Matt?
Nope, there's nobody else on the list, Dane. So
All right. Well, with this, we're 4 minutes from the top of the hour, so that's fine. We had a really good meeting tonight. Can't complain about that. We had a great demonstration. Sorry, look at the chat real quick. I can respond to that later. And really appreciate everybody that's still here, that's been here with us, for the last 3 hours. Look forward to seeing the rest of you next week, same place, same time, and hopefully I will have the global setting turned off. That way you're not hearing people coming into the meeting and leaving the meeting. So get rid of that little doorbell sound. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and call this the end of the official meeting, and I'm going to leave the meeting open for what we call the after hours program.